Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome along to the Weekend Warriors stock car racing on a gorgeous Saturday night here in California. We are at Auto Club Raceway for the Red Rose 400 live on SimShed Broadcasting. I'm Billy Hickey. It's an absolute pleasure to be back in the commentary box for a series that I love so much. I'm joined by JP Courier. I hope I got that name right, JP. You got a copy?
Absolutely nailed it there, Billy. Thanks.
Perfect. So yes, we are at Auto Club Raceway, not too far northwest of Los Angeles, and just a look at the weather rundown there for you. We're 26. It's 26 degrees air at the moment. It's clear. We've got a slightly gusty wind. It's only 3 k's there. We're in. Well, we're not too far from Los Angeles, of course. In the United States, the track length. It is 2 miles, so it's one of those. It's a different track, and you'll see that tonight. But 3.22 k's altitude. It's actually quite far off the ground as well, and that can play havoc sometimes with downforce and things like that. But you'll see that come into effect tonight. But the weather is looking absolutely fantastic out there, JP. Cool track. You've had some success. You've had some success here. Yeah, I can't stand it. I think we're going to be in for a good night.
I think we're going to be in for an awesome night tonight. Nice clear track. Yeah, I think we're going to have some really good racing tonight. I think maybe we should go over the track stats for the viewers tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. So we'll take a look at the track notes for Auto Club Speedway. And of course, as I said, 3.21 kilometres in length. We are running 125 laps tonight, 401.25 kilometres, so the Red Rose 400, hence that. Now, a wee overview there. The fuel restriction is restricted to, I believe, is 80%, so 56.6 litres. You'll be looking at about 2 or 3 pit stops. I'd say definitely 3. You'd be very lucky if you can put it off in 2, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's some people that can do that. Fuel burn here is pretty low, 1.3 litres per lap, and of course limited to 4 sets of tyres, so that keeps the strategy nice and tight. Looking at the track conditions, of course, it's the 19th of June here. The race start is 8 o'clock. Air temp is 25 degrees, track temp 36, so the stickier it gets, the hotter it gets, the looser it gets. But if it gets nice and cold, it might dip down later on. 3 km speed to the north direction. So that's your track notes for tonight. And look, I think it's going to be a rip snorter. I think we're going to see some pretty cool racing. You can get a draft going along the main straight and, of course, along the bank straight. It is a tri-oval, bearing that in mind. So you can use the apron down the front straight as we take a look at Paul Jackson in the 231 Aotearoa Racing Toyota Camry. He's been on hot form this season. And speaking of hot form, we'll have a look at the championship points. JP, if you've got them there, the championship standings at the moment, there it is. Darren McKenzie on top, 517 points. We've got David Duran behind him and 459, so there's a decent gap there of about 60. There we go. We've got the top 10 now. And the man that was just on screen, Paul Jackson, 424. Joshua Carroll Walden, we know he's a quick man. He'll go good around here tonight, hopefully. He's in 4th place, 403 points. Dylan Davies is in 5th, 401. Let me go back to Stephen Williams. Barry Neal, Adam Ariel, Ruben Phelps, who's just joined Crank Esports as well, so it'll be exciting to see what he can do with the team down there. And Scott McClintock in 10th place as we roll over the page for the next lot of drivers. We've got Mark Johansson, we'll speak to him in a bit. We've got Greg Spencer, Tristan Koch, we've got Nigel Payton, Jamie Nankervis, Kay Donnelly, Reese May, Matt Payton, Jordan and Hamish Gallagher. That's your top 20 there. So it gets closer as they come down. We've got, rounding out the rest of the field, we've got Jaeger, Smith, Skurlock, Legg, Anastakis, Douglas, Schroeder, Allison Wellman, Aguilera Bates, and we'll flip over the page one more to get the rest of the lot there. We've got Devon Stove, Derek Jacobs, Gagliardi, Jesberg, Belitho, Tomlin, Marwood, Davison, Shaw, and Schultz, who unfortunately is not here tonight either. So there's your championship standings. Glad I didn't have to call out my own name in that top 40. I tell you, that would have been really awkward. But looking at these guys on track here, plenty of cool practicing happening. We've got both the Aotearoa Racing guys on screen here, and JP just interesting watching the cars go down the back straight there. The shots that we were just seeing doesn't illustrate it too well, but it's stupidly bumpy down that back straight, and it makes it difficult for drafting.
Yeah, you can see a little bit from that onboard shot there that it's a little bit on the bumpy side. And a little bit of interesting information here about Paul Jackson. Mark told me this earlier today. He's the only driver in the Weekend Warriors that's clocked up 10,000 miles of racing with the league. So that's over 6,000 laps that Paul's done, and
Wow.
mate, you can see it with his pace.
Absolutely. Well, he's always up the front or thereabouts, and he does a fantastic job. And I must say, the cars look great. Of course, he's paired with Barry Neal, so it's really cool to see that he's been putting in some effort for Weekend Warriors. So it's a big congratulations to him. We'll have a quick word with the man himself, Mark Johansson. Mark, Joe, mate, you got a copy?
Yeah, got you there, Bill.
Awesome, good stuff, mate. Obviously, we're getting round about the halfway point of the year now for the series. How's everything going from an admin standpoint, mate? Everyone keeping out of trouble?
Yeah, everyone's keeping out of trouble. You know, you get your standard issues through any league has.
Good stuff. That's awesome. And of course, Auto Club can be a little bit of a difficult track, as we were saying. It is fast, and we do have to sort of, we'll notice the drivers taper off quite a wee bit as they come into the corners, but it can be fast, as I was saying. What do you think? You think you're gonna have a busy night, or you think it might be pretty quiet at the stewards' room at the end of the night?
I'm hoping for a quiet night tonight. It just depends, mate. You know, it's like there is a championship on the line, and people want to improve themselves. And yeah, we'll just wait and see what happens. Most guys are pretty good here. So yeah, we don't have too many issues.
Good stuff, mate. It is a good league, and it's interesting watching it from the commentary box and not racing. I tell you what, I'll try it. At least I don't have a chance to put it on my roof this time round, as you like to keep reminding me there, Mark.
Mate, we all have our nights. Like I'm having one of them seasons, you know. I'm hoping that I don't find the outside wall here in 1 and 2 like I normally do when I race here. But yeah, change the steering ratio a bit, and so we'll see how it goes.
Certainly things that you can do to make the car a lot easier to drive, and we'll cover that off later on in the broadcast. But look, we'll let you go there, Mark. Qualifying is up pretty soon, but look, thanks for your time, mate, and best of luck tonight.
No worries, Bill. Have a good call, mate. JP,
Appreciate
thanks.
it. So Mark Johansson there, of course, the leading man for the Weekend Warriors. And we've got Will Jesberg on screen there, of course, out of the Iridium Sim Sports stable, one of the teammates actually, running the Inside Lane Productions livery there. So he'll be one of 2 Inside Lane Productions cars in the field tonight, I believe, as we there he is there, he's back on screen. That's Kobe Jordan. So that's actually Will Jesberg's brother-in-law, would you believe it or not. So there's a bit of familial relations going on here. So Kobe Jordan, the 080, will jump on a lap around Auto Club here. So Kobe electing to go pretty high down the front straight. He's going to nip down low a wee bit here to about mid-track, and you can cut that apron. It does spell trouble. I usually don't go for the apron myself because I find the car gets a wee bit too unsettled. But Kobe using all the track that he can to try and make the car as fast as possible. He'll be trying to simulate a wee bit of a qualifying run here, I'd say. Now you can see from the onboard shots that it gets really bumpy in probably the last half or the last quarter of the back straight there as he comes down into turns 3 and 4, and he's a wee bit lower than he was at turns 1 and 2, but you can bring it up really wide here because of course you're going into a tri-oval, and the track actually opens up a wee bit. It's kind of a little bit of an optical illusion, so you can't take too many liberties, but it's certainly something you can play with. And of course Kobe choosing to use the apron and using all of the tracks as he goes right up to the wall there and cuts back down to the line there as he passes a car coming out of the pit lane. But as I was saying to Mark just before, there's plenty of things that you can do to make the car just a little bit easier. You can play with the steering ratio, so what that does is it gives you just a wee bit more play in the steering when you do a wee bit of input going into the corner. So what that means is it's actually a little bit easier on the tyres as we ride on board with the 231 of Paul Jackson, the Toyota Camry. It makes the steering a little bit easier, extends the tyre life, and you can also change the offset as well. So what that means is, as while the car is going straight, in real terms, the steering wheel is actually put on an angle. They adjust the pinions with the steering, but they put the steering wheel on an angle to give off a bit of an illusion there. So we'll see if we can see that. You can sort of see that the steering wheel is on the angle there a touch. It makes life, yeah, there you go, yep, so that gives a really good shot there. So we're on board with Barry Neal there, and that gives you a real good appreciation for what it is. So really soft inputs, and if you have the steering ratio when you put in those inputs, the car doesn't react as hard as it would if the steering ratio was a lot lower. So you see he's going down the back straight. Steering wheel's on an angle, so that means he can give it a bit more input going into the corners, and that's going to save the tyre life. And of course, he can make those snappy sort of adjustments with the steering wheel to save the ratio as he to save the tyres as he heads on into pit lane there. And I believe that we're about to get underway for qualifying. JP, who's your pick?
Yeah, look, there's going to be a tough one for qualifying. A couple of strong guys there. Paul Jackson's always one to watch. I think so is Steve Williams. He's a bit of a dark horse, you know. He'll come from nowhere and sort of be able to be there at the end. But for me, it's not so much who's going to be on pole. It's who's going to be there after that last stop. You know, very different to circuit racing, the stock car racing. 125 laps, I think it is here tonight. So these guys are going to have to be there or thereabouts after the last pit stop.
And that's the thing. You can, for lack of better words, you can afford to go a couple of laps down, early on in the piece. And if you can fight your way back, then it's not too much of an issue. So you can definitely put yourself in a good position as long as you're set up for that last stop, and after that last stop, then you're certainly in a good position. So looking at the number 19 here as we're rolling around for qualifying now, we'll switch back to the 129 there. So everyone's going through putting in laps. So I can see Kobe Jordan's the first one. It's going to set a lap there. Nathan Legg's not too far behind him. And the number 11, we've got Kobe Jordan on screen here now as he's going to come around to complete his first lap. 2 mile track, so the laps are quite long, and they certainly tick by when you're going around in circles, that's for sure. So Kobe Jordan will go straight to the top with a 41.3, and he's quickly displaced by Nathan Legg and Paul Jackson. Jackson goes in with a 41.2. McClintock slots in behind him with a he's only about 3/100ths off the pace there, so he's not doing too badly. And then we've got the 129. Derek Jacobs going straight to the top there, so that's the look at the pace, 41.1. So there's plenty happening here. They get 2 laps to see what they can get done here, JP, and it's look how tight it is already.
Yeah, look, there's no room, no time to blink with these qualifying laps. 2 laps, 41 seconds a lap, and the times just start tumbling.
Absolutely right. And look, Kobe Jordan slops into 3rd place there, and he's and Paul Jackson's gone straight back up to the top again. So he's got provisional pole. His 2 laps are done. He's got a 41.19, and it's only 4 1,000ths back to 2nd place. Make that 3 1,000ths back to 2nd place with the 129 there. So Nathan Legg is in. Oh, and there we go. So that's. I told you it happens. It's a 41.120 from the 02 there. I'm not sure who that is actually, JP. You've probably got a bit more of an appreciation.
Yeah, that's Darren McKenzie, and it looks like Bradley Allison's on a fast one as well. So let's see what he does.
Certainly is. Let's see what Bradley Allison's got as he crosses the line, and he will go straight to the top. So he's 4 100ths ahead of Darren McKenzie in the 02, and we go back to Paul Jackson in the 231 there, and Reese May has just jumped up into 4th place, and Paul Jackson also got displaced to 3rd place there by the 521. So it's all happening here. The Darren McKenzie's up the pace. He's almost on a 41 flat there, so it is pretty close when you think about it. You look at it, 2/10. That's not a heck of a lot there, JP.
No, nothing at all. What do they say? 1/8 of an inch or something like that. But yeah, I mean, calling qualifying is so busy. You're lucky you don't hyperventilate.
Exactly right, mate. I've got my 1 litre of water here, and I'm just about choking already. Please excuse me. So it is Trevethan that's dropped into 2nd place there. And we're looking at Stephen Williams now, I believe, as he makes his way around for his flying lap. Now, one thing that I've noticed is that when he is, if he qualifies down the back, which he does on a regular occasion, please excuse me, he'll storm through. And he'll come from absolutely nowhere, and he'll be right there at the end.
Yeah, 100%. Stephen Williams isn't one of those guys that you can count out, especially if he's down the back of the field. He knows how to keep the car straight. He doesn't push too hard to start off with, and then he knows how to use a little bit of strategy. And more often than not, he's there or thereabouts after the last pit stop and challenging for a good position, if not challenging for the lead.
Oh, absolutely right. So, Mackenzie still on pole there. And we go back to Trevethan and Brad Allison. And we've got Barry Neal on track there. Does that signal the end of qualifying there? I think it does, JP. Have we got our starting grid?
That is the end of qualifying. So let's have a look at the grid and see how they've finished up.
Right, so let's see how they're going to start for the Red Rose 400 here at Auto Club Speedway, otherwise known as California Speedway, of course. This was the place where IndyCar decided its championship title on many occasions, as you can see on the TV screen there. I remember when Scott Dixon actually ran out of petrol here on the last lap and lost the championship. That was heartbreaking. But anyway, 15 years ago, Darren McKenzie takes pole over Dave Trevethan. Then we've got Brad Allison, Stephen Williams, Reese May, Paul Jackson, Paul Drady. Then we've got Nathan Legg, Scott McClintock, and Ruben Phelps. Phelps rounds out your top 10. Then we go back to Gary Wellman. Mark Smith in 12th place as we flip the page over to Kobe Jordan in 13th. Then we've got Barry Neal, Dylan Davies, Adam Ariel, Jesberg, Derek Jacobs from the United States there. He's on home turf. Look out for him. Mark Johansson, we spoke to him earlier. Sean King in 20th. Then we've got Christopher Tomlin, Dylan Gray, and Tristan Koch there in 23rd. So 23 starters by the looks of it tonight, JP. Slightly smaller field than what we used to, but hopefully that'll make for some close racing.
Yeah, 100%. We may not be there with the quantity, but we certainly are there with the quality. So looking forward to this one. So if you were starting this race, what would be your strategy?
When I'm at the super speedways and I'm at these 1.5s, I'm always focusing on what the right hand side of the car is doing. So that's the side of the car that takes the load. It's always you don't want to lean on the front too much. If you lean on the front left too much, then you have to change your forwards. So what I usually do, JP, is if we get maybe 30 laps through, and say for example you might get 40 laps to a stint, we get 30 laps in, and we have a safety car for a pure example, then what I'll do is just change the right sides only, and what that does is it shores up the grid, the grip on the outside of the car, so that means it's going to turn a wee bit better. However, you sacrifice running out of grip with the front left-hand side of the car, because that's where you're turning mostly. So it's a bit of a gamble. I'd be running out the fuel and changing tyres at the same time. However, this is a very, very abrasive track. The tyre degradation is very high, so we're going to see some very interesting strategy calls tonight.
Yeah, 100%. So I guess safety car is really going to dictate how these guys run their strategy tonight.
Absolutely right, and I think that safety cars, it's 100% probability. All it takes is for someone to spin on the track, and it comes out. So it's certainly going to be tight. But they're gridding up now for what is going to be a rip snort of a race here at Auto Club Speedway. Red Rose 400. For Weekend Warriors, we're waiting for the green lights. The field is set. They're a wee bit jumbled. And we're away here at Auto Club Speedway for the Red Rose 400. And it's McKenzie that gets a ripper of a start. Trevethan's on the outside, but look at Brad Allison tucked in right in behind. He's going to move to the inside. It's only lap 1 of 125. We've got a long way to go, but here goes Allison to take the lead from McKenzie. They're side by side through turns 1 and 2. Let's see how they fare as they come out Down the back straight, Reese May slots into third place. We've got Trevethan has dropped back to fourth, and Paul Jackson's up into fifth there as well after qualifying towards the back end of the top 10. We're still side by side as we head down the back straight. How funny is that? The 02 and the 03, but it is Brad Allison that takes the lead over Darren McKenzie. And Paul Jackson, he has come from nowhere up into fourth, challenging for third with Reese May, JP. One lap done, 124 to go.
Yeah, real smart racing there by Darren McKenzie. He's not fighting too hard, but he's not letting Brad Allison get away from him. Brad Allison saw the opportunity and said, I'll take that spot, thank you very much. And I think, if anything, this might play into the hands of Darren McKenzie. If he can stay with Brad Allison, well, that'll give him maybe a little bit of fuel saving.
Absolutely. If you're in the draft, you're certainly going to fuel save. And Darren McKenzie, that's a really smart move. Save the tyres early in the piece. You want to save them for the latter half of the stint, because if you can make the tyres last good for your whole fuel run, then you're going to be working good. But it's all on down the back there. We're almost 3 and 4 wide down towards the back of the pack there as they head towards turn one. Once again, it's the third time round this time by. But look at that top four gaggle of cars. We're on board with Dave Trevethan there. I think he's got Ruben Phelps just in front of him. In seventh place there, the 5-2-1 back down in the pack, using that steering ratio to make the tyres last nice and long. But he's in the draft here. Depending on what the wind's doing and what the weather's like, sometimes the draft is good, sometimes it's absolutely terrible. But we'll jump on board with Paul Drady here as we head through turns 3 and 4. He's running down low. You wouldn't want to be using up too many tyres that early on in the piece, but everyone has their own strategy. Everyone knows what they're doing. Lap number 5 beginning out of 125 here. JP, still a long way to go, but it's all go.
Yeah, there's a lot of racing left ahead of us, but they've started off well. No one's really gone and jumped the gun and tried to do anything silly. They're kind of putting the feelers. It looks like they're kind of putting the feelers out, seeing what everyone's doing, getting into a rhythm, and then just slotting in and getting ready to, getting ready for the long haul until the last part of the race.
That's right. You can spend these sort of first 4, 5, maybe even up to 10 laps, depending on the length of the track, just sort of finding a rhythm, getting into a rhythm, figure out who you're racing and where their weaknesses and strengths are and things like that, figuring out your own strengths and weaknesses, and really taking it from there. As we look at, I think that's Kobe Jordan, the 080 challenging there alongside, I think that's Dylan Davies in the 97. So those guys have been side by side for a couple of laps now, and it's certainly looking pretty hot between them. The thing is, with these 2 mile tracks, as Jordan pulls in behind the 97 there, is you can get away with running side by side for, well, pretty much the whole race really, and you can run 3 wide, and everyone's doing their own thing. You've got Car A that's sitting down on the right next to the apron, doing their own thing. They're running their own strategy. Same with Car B that's in the middle, and Car C that's up by the wall. You find out what works for you. What's going to make you the fastest, what's going to make your tyres last long. It's up to how you drive the car. And if it's fast, well, then you've got a winning package. But Kobe Jordan running a little bit all over the place there, maybe just trying to figure out what works for him in this race. Settling into a groove as we head back to our front pack here. Darren McKenzie's managed to make his way back past Brad Allison there, with Paul Jackson in the fray, as well as I think that's Stephen Williams in 4th place there. And back in 5th, I think that is Ruben Phelps, the 06. Yes, it is. So this top 5 cars are all over the shop now. Darren McKenzie's making them run around for their money, that's for sure. They all chopping and changing from the top to the bottom of the track, but it's Darren McKenzie leading the way over Brad Allison. Allison's a seasoned campaigner. He knows what he's doing, but you got to remember, Darren McKenzie is the championship leader as well. So Darren McKenzie in the 02 championship leader over, well, I don't know if it's Brad Allison, but it certainly wouldn't surprise me if it was. But look at Paul Jackson now trying to make a move on Brad Allison through turns 3 and 4. Who's going to have the pace? I think Allison's going to have the pace off of here. But look at Stephen Williams now. He wants a piece of it as we jump on board with Paul Jackson. He's going to follow Brad Allison down low there. What they're going to do is they're going to stick in a line, and as they move, it's like one big snake as they come down there. Brad Allison just showing the nose a wee bit to Darren McKenzie, just making him look in his mirror. And there you go, look at Stephen Williams up the inside of Paul Jackson now as they head down the back straight for the 8th time there. Stephen Williams, another very seasoned campaigner here for Weekend Warriors. He's been around here for a long time. Same with the Anscar Frey as well. He's been doing that for quite some time, so he knows what he's doing as well. Certainly one to watch out for, as myself and JP were saying in the pre-race. And Ruben Phelps, look, he wants a piece of the action as well. They're starting to break away from the rest of the pack here. There's about a couple of seconds in it there, maybe just over a second, if anything like that. And Stephen Williams has dropped back to 5th place there, so Phelps has made his way up into 4th. The front two haven't really changed that much. It's still a duke out between Mackenzie and Allison. And look, JP, again, a lot of dicing, chopping and changing. These guys are all fighting for the same piece of real estate. They all know where they want to be. And Ruben Phelps looking really strong for his debut for Crank Esports. Look at him go.
Yeah, 100%. And he's the biggest mover at the moment, up 7 places from the start. And he's looking really strong. And we've seen this before with Darren McKenzie being able to get out in front, and he's looks like he's given that position back up to Brad Allison. And then Darren seems to sort of have tyre life issues and falls back again. But the thing with Darren is he's always consistent. He may not be winning a lot of races, but he's always finishing up around the top.
Absolutely. Well, he's a championship leader for a reason. You know, Mr. Consistent, as you could probably call him, as Ruben Phelps now making a dive on Darren McKenzie for 2nd place. So, yeah, I think McKenzie's probably playing it a wee bit safe with the tyres. Look, if he can finish in the top 2 or top 5, I'd say he'd more than likely keep his top at the top of the championship standings there. But keep his place at the top of the championship standings there, sorry. So I think he's playing a very smart game here. Phelps is on a big march. Like you said, he's up 7, probably 8 spots now. So Brad Allison still leading the way there. He's got probably a couple of car lengths gap now over Darren McKenzie, and Paul Jackson still threatening there, as well as Ruben Phelps and Stephen Williams. But the rest of the pack are catching up. Would you look at this? You wouldn't read about it. They're all still together, so everyone's got the chance to make something happen, and everyone else is coming into the fray. Welcome to the party, Gary Wellman. Welcome to the party, the number 7 of Smith. It's all go now. Nathan Legg's getting involved as well. This is going to turn into a super speedway race before we know it. Everyone's in the mix. Reese May's there too, as well as Dylan Davies as well. So everything's happening here at Auto Club. We said it would be exciting, and it's certainly delivering on that promise. So Brad Allison still leads the way, along with Darren McKenzie, and Ruben Phelps making a great debut for Crank Esports, running 3rd place there. Stephen Williams 4th, and Paul Jackson in 5th there, probably playing another safe game as well. Gary Wellman is one to look out for as well, JP. He's a really well-known driver, very, very quick, and very handy behind the wheel, that's for sure.
Yeah, he does really well there, and everybody seems to be settling down now and getting into a bit of a rhythm. You can see they're having a bit of a look there. Gary's having a little bit of a look on Paul Jackson, but not really ready to do anything yet. I can see. Look, some people might look at this and think it's a little bit processional, but they're all playing a bit of a strategy game at the moment. So it's very good to see.
Absolutely, and I think, like you say, it's a big strategy game. It does look a little bit positional. I think everyone's sort of just calmed down a wee bit. What you're going to see here is you look at Ruben Phelps and Paul Jackson just in front of Gary Wellman there, who are on board with. They'll be chopping and changing lap after lap after lap after lap until someone gives in. What you do is you just keep fighting, but you've got to remember you've got to know to be able to read what the other car is doing, and you've got to be able to sort of think, well, if this is what's the way it's going to be, why don't I change it up and try and fool them a wee bit now? As we see Stephen Williams charge to the outside there, he's got Ruben Phelps in behind him, and I think Darren McKenzie's on the back foot a wee bit there on the inside. He's not in the draft, but I was just going to say as well that Brad Allison, if he can pull out a wee bit of a gap, I know that he'll be able to sit there very comfortably. He's a very talented driver in these cars, and he'll certainly be at home around here at Auto Club. So certainly one to watch for as we look at Paul Jackson there as well in the 231. He's looking really good. Now, he is certainly one to watch. This top 10 are probably cars that you definitely want to be there. They're going to make it really
how
exciting.
Close they are there.
How close is that? That's as close as you want to get. Oh, turning a little bit Mark Scaife here, but Darren McKenzie and Paul Jackson. Darren, I think, may have run out of the good half of his tyres because he's losing positions like you would not believe. Maybe fighting a wee bit too hard earlier on in the piece with Paul Jackson fighting the issue there through turns 1 and 2, and Mackenzie's getting absolutely eaten up here.
Yeah, look, I mean, we've seen this week in, week out. Darren seems to fall back a little bit, and then he's there, you know, almost magically there. But have a look at this. Well, let's go to the front here.
We'll jump at the front here. We've got Brad Ellison and Stephen Williams there. Ruben Phelps in the mix as well. Paul Jackson's there too, but it's that top 3 that are running line astern. Steve Williams wants to have a look here on Brad Ellison through turn 3 and 4. Looks like he's got the job done. I think Brad Ellison just sort of said, yep, you go, mate. I think you know what you're doing. Away you go. And Ruben Phelps now getting a look at Brad Ellison there as they head down the tri-oval to complete lap number 16. We're going to head on to lap 17 here. Still a long way to go and still a lot of game to play in the strategy as they head into turn 1, and it's still that same gaggle of cars up the front there. We've got that top 4 of Stephen Williams. Ruben Phelps now slotting into second over Brad Ellison. So Brad's probably thinking, you know what, I'm not playing silly buggers here. You guys do what you want to do. Stephen, I'll catch you later on. I know for a fact that I'll see you at the end of this. So they're all, like you say, they're playing that strategy game. Wee bit of dicing going on, bit of chopping and changing, but starting to settle down a wee bit, and things certainly, like you say, they'll be processional but very exciting, especially once the strategy comes into play.
Yeah, 100%. And at the moment, yeah, like you said, they're all sort of following each other. There's a little bit of chopping and changing going on. And of course, with this chopping and changing, no one's really going to be getting much of an advantage on fuel saving there. If they're giving up the lead and getting in behind the other car to save a bit of fuel, it's all going to work out pretty much evenly for these guys.
I completely agree with you there, JP, because, you know, if you're chopping and changing, the guy that you're around, you're getting the same amount of time behind him in the draft as he's getting in behind you. So it works, well, it works both ways, really. So it's fairly even. It doesn't matter who gets in behind who first. But look at Ruben Phelps now, jumping onto another topic here, challenging for the lead. So they're all running a wee bit high there. Obviously, Stevens found a sweet spot, and that's what I was saying earlier. Stevens found a sweet spot. He knows what works for him, and it's up to everyone else to follow him. Now, Ruben Phelps going to go to the inside here, but there's no advantage in doing that. I mean, if he pulls it off, full credit to him, but there's not a heck of a lot of advantage in that because you put yourself out of the draft. You're going to use a bit more tyre going down the track. I mean, granted, he's side by side with him, but you lose the draft, and he's, well, blow me down, he's got the job done. Would you look at that? He's made a fool out of me.
He's done well there. He's been looking very pacey since the beginning of the race, and he's now got Brad Ellison behind him, so that's going to help him a little bit as well.
Oh, absolutely. So having Brad Ellison in your corner, that's not bad, but Brad will give you a push if he needs to, and he'll make life pretty difficult for you as well. So there we go, new leader, Ruben Phelps in the 06 Crank Esports Toyota Camry. And he's come into his own over the past year or so. I first started iRacing about a year ago, and I think that he was around, the young Kiwi, and I thought I'd like to think that I would have been up with pace with him, but I wasn't. I'm still sort of down the back a wee bit, but this kid's certainly done some practice. He knows what he's doing, and it's great to see him up there fighting the guys that have been around for years. So he takes the lead over Stephen Williams and Brad Ellison there. I think we're sort of settled down with this top 3 now. It's the interesting thing about that is we can always say that it's settled down, it's calmed down, it turns processional, things like that. But up the front, consistently chopping and changing, and we'll never know. But look at Darren McKenzie now, all the way down in 9th. So he's running down there with Reese May. I think that's Dylan Davies as well. Paul Drady's there as well, so he's dropped down big time, and he's way off the pace of the guys that he was running with at some stage. So, like you said, JP, he'll probably be back up in the midst at the end of it. We'd like to think he's probably playing a bit of a smart game. I think probably just staying out of trouble at the front. You know, if there is any form of trouble up the front, it's probably not where you want to be. But a very tame race so far, 22 laps in, and a wee bit of action, but no safety cars, which is always a good place there. And we just seen right at the end of that shot there that Mackenzie lost another place there. So Phelps still leading the way over Brad Ellison, and Gary Wellman's popped up into 4th place there. He's got Paul Jackson just in front of him. And just what I was saying there, you saw Paul Jackson in the orange 231 Toyota Camry sort of chopping about there. He sort of jerked around. That's what I was saying about the bumpiness of that back straight, is it makes drafting really difficult. You could turn the wheel slightly and end up quite a wee way away. Hey, who's there? Guess what? It's Brad Ellison from Activity Hub Bali Racing in the 03, showing his nose big time on Ruben Phelps, just saying, come on, mate. Come on, let's go. None of this daddy's got your stuff, mate. He's there to put on one heck of a fight. And here he comes now. He's got the pace, but he's not going to push the issue. He's not going to push past it. Here comes. Oh, no! There's contact. Contact between Ellison and Jackson. They're both off. Wellman jumps up into 2nd. Oh, no.
So let's see if we can see this on the replay.
See if we can get ourselves a replay there. JP, oh man, we were waiting for that. It's a simsnap.com iRacing photography replay, and it was Brad Ellison there. You just saw it in the back of the shot there. So it was Brad Ellison and Paul Jackson. So it looks like Brad got out of that relatively unscathed. So I think this is after that that crash has happened there, JP. So that was a no, Paul Jackson, he'll be absolutely filthy about that. So, no yellows, they went to the apron, but that's an absolute shame for Paul Jackson. Just looked like that one of them just got a little bit too unsettled, and off they went.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll go through this and I'll see if I can find this incident. We can go to the replay.
Alrighty, so we'll let JP go through and do that. Everything's still sort of happening out there as it was. It's a bit of a shame for Paul Jackson. He'll be pretty upset about that, I'd say, but don't discount him. There's still over 100 laps to go, and he will be the first car a lap down, so he will get the wave by unless he becomes, well, the second car a lap down. So he'll get the wave around, fingers crossed. And then he'll be back in the mix without a doubt. I wouldn't discount him. You can sort of get away with having a damaged car at this track. So we're heading back to the front there now, and Ruben Phelps still leading the way with Gary Wellman in 2nd now. So he's shown his card, and we got Smith in 3rd, and Brad Ellison in 4th place there. So he obviously was the beneficiary of that one. I don't think he actually ended up going right off the track with Paul there. I think Paul was the worse off party with that one. So Dylan Davies in 6th as well, just looking at the ticker down the bottom there. And the 7 of Smith absolutely come from nowhere now in 2nd place. So he's making his tyres work. So is Ruben Phelps, is making it all work for him. Brad Ellison, well, we don't need to say much there. We know that he's quick, and Gary Wellman's there too. And Nathan Leggs come into the picture as well. So it's all on here at Auto Club Speedway, and we'll see if we've got a replay of that incident earlier on with Paul Jackson and Brad Ellison. JP, have you got anything there?
Just going through the list here, trying to see if I can find this replay. I'm going to give this a go, and hopefully this will be what we're looking for.
Fingers crossed. All right, so we'll let JP work away at that. Now look at that. There, here we go. So it's the SimSnap Racing Photography. Here we go. So they were down the back straight. Jackson pulls out, and it's hard. It's too hard to tell. I think I'm no steward, but I think that Paul Jackson may have just got a wee bit loose there. It'll be interesting to see an onboard shot with Paul Jackson there, just to see if he did get loose. And I didn't see how hard he hit the wall at all. But that's the simsnap.com iRacing photography replay. Thank you very much for that, SimSnap Photography, and thanks JP for getting that one up. Ruben Phelps still leading the way. Over Smith in 2nd. Gary Wellman's picked himself up into 3rd there, and you can see the 2nd of the Aotearoa Racing Toyota Camrys in the mix there. That's Barry Neal. He's quick as well, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see him up in the mix, and we're on board now with the 11. I think that's Nathan Legg there in fourth place, so he's doing a really good job. Brad Allison is probably just taking it a wee bit conservative after that incident. Dylan Davies is on the outside of him in the 97, so he's probably going a wee bit conservative after that incident, just thinking, right, well, hold on a second, let's just sort of take a step back and try and reassess the situation here. He's a very smart racer. He knows what he's doing. He's just going to get out of the draft, let these guys play. They're pushing really hard. Well, Nathan Legg's pushing really hard, and as is Dylan Davies. He's a quick driver. And back at the front there, we can see that Ruben Phelps and the 7 of Smith are going hammer and tong. And here comes Gary Wellman now.
Where
Gary
did he
Wellman's
come from?
to the party. Woohoo! The 45 green machine is absolutely on fire, and I think he might just take the lead away from Ruben Phelps here. He popped out of nowhere, so the timing tower lights back up again. You can see Gary Wellman in the lead there. Oh, was that a wee bit of contact with Ruben Phelps as they head through turns 2. They're on the back straight now. We've got 2 lines here as Smith wants to pop up to the middle there, see if he can make anything happen. But look at Dylan Davies. He's capitalised as well. He's in second place. Gary Wellman ducks down to the inside there. So he's alongside Dylan Davies, and Phelps still manages to hold on to the lead. So Wellman settles for third after a very brave dive this time last lap, and Dylan Davies in second place there. So it's Toyota, Chevy. I haven't seen a Ford for a wee while yet, but it's Toyota's leading the way over the Chevy boys, and there's Nathan Legg in a Ford Mustang. There we go. So he's keeping it nice and even for the blue oval, and Ruben Phelps just sort of covering Dylan Davies here enough. Davies will have a slipstream down the back straight there. I wouldn't discount that great-looking Toyota Camry that Dylan does have as they head through turns 3 and 4 here. Phelps will be covering just a wee bit. He'll be aware that Davies has got pace, and I think Dylan's done a great thing here. He sat down right at the back for quite some time, and look at them, they're all over the place here. I told you it's like one big snake. They're all over the show. So Dylan would have sat down the back for a wee bit, let these guys play about. He's a pretty smart driver. Not when I met him at Dover, we had some choice words for each other, but he's been very smart about that. He's just hung about down the back, thought, we'll just let these guys play about, and there he goes. Look at that. Challenging for the lead down the back straight over Ruben Phelps. Let's see what they can do through turns 3 and 4, and Phelps dives to the inside big time now, and Dylan Davies as well. So look at this, it's the chopping and changing we're talking about. It's not an even playing field, but Dylan Davies does take the lead away from Ruben Phelps now, so he will tick the leader lap box for this race, and Gary Wellman now is trying to get the upper hand on Ruben Phelps as Phelps dives to the inside now on Dylan Davies, but I think Davies is just a wee bit too far ahead, so I think we're going to see some strategy coming into play pretty soon, JP.
Absolutely. I think we've already seen a little bit of strategy with Davies and Wellman working together to move up the field and put on an attack there for first place.
Absolutely. You know, it's a little bit of teamwork there, and a little bit of how would you say, inter-team and inter-manufacturer rivalry there, perhaps. So we'll see what happens there, but it is still the Toyotas leading the way, and it's Nathan Legg who's popped up into fourth place as well, incidentally there, and got Gary Wellman still holding down third. So 34 laps down, we're about 90 laps to go now, and I'd like to think that, given the nature of this track, that we will see some pit stops creeping into the fray very soon as well. Like I was saying earlier, this track is very, very abrasive, and the attrition rate on tyres is rather high. So there's quite the possibility that something's going to happen here as we count up the laps at Auto Club Speedway. We're going to take a quick break here on SimShed Broadcasting. We'll jump on board one of these guys at the front, and we'll crank up the volume and turn up your TV, because this is a gorgeous sound. Alrighty, how was that for a couple of laps, cranking up the volume, listening to these sweet beasts going through, and some awesome camera shots there, thanks to Track Cams at Gourmet there for that one. We certainly appreciate all the work that you guys do to get these wicked camera shots here. It's just like the real thing, and that's what we love to see. A wee bit of strategy coming into play now. We saw on the ticker down the bottom that Scott McClintock pulled off into the pit lane, and so has Paul Jackson. So Jackson's gone into pit lane once again. He'll be on an entirely different strategy as opposed to these guys at the front, given that he's probably about a lap down now, but it is Dylan Davies that still leads the way over Ruben Phelps and Nathan League slotted into second there, with Brad Allison in fourth, Gary Wellman in fifth, and Smith in sixth there, and we'll go a couple of cars back there as well. So it's looking like it's just evened out slightly now. Davies has held on to the lead for quite a few laps here. Just looking at it now, I'd say we'd probably be creeping into pit stop territory right about now, and I'll just have to probably redact my comment from earlier that you'd be crazy to get this race done on 2 stops. Well, I think these guys are going to do it, because we're at lap 40 now. If they can at least make their tyres last, or tyres and fuel last to lap 45, then they'll be able to get it done on 2 laps and 2 stops, sorry, and they'll be able to make that second pit stop just a little bit earlier. So what you want to do is, when you're racing, is try and maximise one of your stints, or try and lengthen your stints, as one of them as much as possible, to make the rest of them a lot better. The trouble is with that is that you risk burning out the tyres and being on the back foot for quite some time. And you come and make that first pit stop or whatever it is, and once you get that out of the way, you can focus on the shorter stints, and you're going to have better tyre life in those stints as well. So, but that depends whether you can make the tyres last for a full fuel run, which is what these top 2 have managed to do. As we see on the ticker there that Pete Gretton has dropped into pit lane there. He's down in 16th place, so he's another one to go into the pits. I'd say that some of the guys down there will be looking much the same, heading into pit lane very soon, and taking on some new tyres and some more fuel. The windscreen tear off as well. I just want to jump on board, if we can, with one of these top 2 and just see how much steering input they're putting in. As there we go. First one to blink. Ruben Phelps is in. Reese May jumps in behind him. So there you go. They're bang on with the strategy.
Now,
40 laps down.
I had a look at this, and I calculated about 42, 43 laps of fuel. Now, will Dylan Davies cover off Ruben Phelps? I mean, with Ruben going in, I would probably be going in this lap.
Oh, 100%. That's what we always did. If you're running down the back, you'd always go in the same time as the guy in front, or a lap after the guy in front, because that's who you're racing now. Ruben and Dylan are obviously racing each other pretty bloody directly here. So I think we're gone yellow.
Oh, okay. So this is interesting. Let's have a look here.
There you
Looks
go.
like it could have been Dylan Gray. Let me have a look at the replay here.
Right, see if we can get a replay there of what's happened in the background there. So we've gone yellow for the first time. So that was a really, really solid green flag run there from the team. We'll go to our simsnap.com iRacing photography replay there. And, oh dear, that's not what you want. We've all done that, haven't... Oh, no. So we've all done that. And the reason why we went yellow... is because he's on the pit exit. He's spun around and he's come onto the track. So just a spin, and that's brought out the yellow flag. So a shame there for Dylan Gray. Didn't lose out too much, but certainly a bit of a shame there. Now, look who's in second place. It's Barry Neal. I think he actually might be a lap down, possibly, because it's showing that Nathan Legg's in second place. So I'd say that he's probably a lap down there as they're sitting in behind the pace car there, JP. As we've got a bit of quiet here, I just want to grab your thoughts, see what you think about the racing so far. This has gone an entirely different way to the way that I thought it would, and there you go. They're all in pit lane.
Yep, they've all dived into pit lane. This is going to be interesting. Let's have a look at the pit stop times here and see how they wind up. Now, the racing so far has been really interesting. You know, the guys have been taking their time, working on their strategy. It's been fantastic. I mean, a little bit of a slip up there for a caution period, but yeah, like you say, we've all done that.
Oh, absolutely right. It's easy to do when you're on cold tyres as well. This is going to be really interesting to see the race out of pit lane there. Look, I think that is that Nathan Legg that's managed to get out there pretty quick? I think it is. There goes Dylan Davies as well. Let's see where Ruben Phelps comes out here. I think he has lost out a wee bit, maybe, or has he come out at the front? Can't quite tell. But there's Dylan Davies coming off of pit lane there. So that's your pit stop time. That's your quickest time there, and Davies has got quite the advantage there. That's it's probably not going to matter too much, but look at all the cars they've got in front. Oh, there's Ruben Phelps all the way up there. That's right, he pitted earlier, so that makes total sense there. But Brad Allison, really quick stop there. And the beauty for Ruben Phelps there is he was a quicker stop by quite some time there. So interesting to be able to analyse that and take a breather while we're under yellow as well.
Yeah, there's been plenty going on this race. It's been fantastic to watch.
Always heaps happening in the background as well, which is always really cool to sort of analyse once we go yellow, and just sort of try and figure out who's doing what, who's who in the zoo, what's all happening. Lights are still on the pace car, so we'll go at least another lap before we see them jump into formation here. And Brad Allison jumps into pit lane. So do you think was that a strategic call? Do you think he's going down to the back of the back, trying to get to the back of the pack and charge through on green tyres? That's an interesting call by the experienced man there.
There could be a couple of things because of that. I mean, he might have a little bit of damage, and being able to dive into pit lane now may help him get a bit of repair on his car. He can still get out there and he can still have pace, and like you said, he'll have fresh. If he's changing tyres, he'll certainly have fresh tyres going out. Remember, they've got 4 sets of tyres, so if they've got 2 or 3 stops, they're going to have a set up their sleeves that they can go to.
Absolutely. And just what we were saying about earlier about the tyre allocation and things like that is we're looking like we're getting set for a green here. Where you've managed to get a really long stint done, a green flag stint before a safety car. So everyone's pitted. So everyone's back under the same circumstances. Fresh rubber, full tank of fuel. It's like resetting the watch, starting all over again. I think our critical lap is going to be, I think we're going to be looking at about lap 90, lap 95 for our critical laps. So let's see what they can do as they reform, and it's going to be Phelps and Davies, the 2 Toyota Camrys off the front row with Wellman and Legg in behind them there. It's the Red Rose 400 at Auto Club Speedway. It's restart number 1. And as the rest of the field catches up, we are waiting for the green flag. On board with our leader, he sets the pace and he is away. Green flag's out. Let's go. Thank you, Barney, for the green flag. A fantastic jump for our leader, Ruben Phelps. He's back in the lead over Dylan Davies. Let's see what's going to happen now. Look at Nathan Legg going to the inside of Dylan Davies there. And Gary Wellman wants a slice of the pie too. He says, oh, it's like warm apple pie. Give me some as well. Thanks, gents. Here we go. Down the back straight. And Ruben Phelps still holding strong. The rest of the field looking nice and even and cozy there. I saw one Brad Allison all the way down the back there. Let's see what he can do as the race carries on. But it is the young Kiwi. That is Ruben Phelps. Out of Otago in New Zealand in the deep south, leading the way over Dylan Davies in that lovely looking factory Toyota Camry. Nathan Legg is all over the back of Dylan Davies, and now he's got Gary Wellman to worry about as Gary Wellman goes up the inside of Nathan Legg. Look at him now, and Dave Trevethan's in the mix as well as Smith. So it's this top 6 cars that have just peeled away slowly. Now, who's going to make their tyres last the longest? It's going to be one of 2, and I think it's going to be Phelps or it's going to be Davies as they head down the back straight now. They're fanned out. White May in one solid line. Let's all get the draft. Let's maximise what we can do as Brad Allison peels into the pit lane there. So his day is probably more likely done and dusted. This race could go either way. Nathan Legg's dropped off a wee bit there. But the front 2 are now side by side. Davies looks like he's got the advantage. He'll take the lead for that lap. Let's see if he can hold on to it as they head down through to turns 1 and 2 now. Legs dropped off the back there. We can see Brad Allison exiting pit lane in the foreground of that shot just there. So it is Dylan Davies that leads it, and Gary Wellman slots into second. Smith is coming out of nowhere as well. Oh, JP, what a restart that was. She's all go.
Absolutely brilliant restart. And you can see here Dylan Davies and Gary Wellman, they looked like they were working together earlier on in the stint. They might start working together again here and see if they can perhaps start putting a little bit of a gap on the field.
Absolutely, and that's what they want. That's what you want to do. You want to put a gap on everyone behind you, and if you have to make your own race, then so be it. You know, if you guys want to work together and get out there and maybe make a challenge for each other and peel away from the field, you certainly wouldn't want to count that out. So we're almost 50 laps down here at Auto Club Speedway. Gary Wellman's slotted into second place there with Regan Smith challenging for second place. Now it's not Regan Smith, sorry, that's a NASCAR driver. So Smith challenging for second place there. Now he's got second place over Gary Wellman, and Dylan Davies has pulled a wee bit of a gap there. He's got a couple of car lengths now. JP, everyone's settled down, getting into that one snake rhythm as they all move down low, and they're all trying to copy what Dylan Davies does.
100%. And there are pros and cons for being Dylan Davies at the moment. Obviously, being at the head of the pack and trying to pull away is fantastic. But he's going to be using his tyres up, and maybe the smart move by Ruben Phelps has been just to slot in behind them, take the draft, save a little bit of fuel. Remember, he pitted 2 laps earlier, so at the end he'll have to put a little bit more fuel in his car to finish off the race.
That's right. And that's where the strategy comes into it. That's what we were talking about earlier on in the piece. We're about to click over to lap 50, and there'll be 75 to go this time around. And there it is. So the number 7 of Smith slots into second place, and we'll go back down the back of the field here. And Darren McKenzie, the woes continue. Dropped all the way down the back, and it's not looking good for him, sitting in 11th place. So he's just been passed by another car there. He's got Reese May to worry about, and I think that's Barry Nealon behind him as well. So what we'll do if we can is I just want to jump in the cockpit view of one of these guys and just perhaps even one of the leading cars and just see how much they're steering the wheel, because they'll be saving tyres like you would not believe. Right, so here's Dylan Davies. Now what I want you to do, ladies and gentlemen at home, is just pay attention to how much input he's putting when he turns the car. So look at this. Turns the car. You're looking at about maybe 30, 35 degrees. Probably not even that. Overall, really. Maybe about probably about 20 degrees worth of steering there as he heads through turns 1 and 2 there and down the back straight. So there's not much happening. But if we can, maybe in about 20 or 30 laps time, is just see where that, how much more he's steering to try and get the car around the corner and how much the speed differential is. But it's cool to see it from the driver's perspective. Sitting all the way back from the steering wheel, we can see everything that's happening. Right in front of Dylan there is the rev counter. Of course, we've got next-gen car to worry about in 2022 as well, so that changes everything as well. Everything's going to be a lot easier to drive, but it's not at the same time, I can assure you of that. Hold on, a cotton pick in second here. Kobe Jordan has come out of nowhere and is sitting in 5th place. Am I seeing that right? He is. He's in 4th place. Look at him go. So he's sitting in 4th place there, and he's challenging big time. Fresh tyres are working well for the Iridium Sim Sports driver, and he will be concentrating hard. And was that our leader? A big brush on the wall there for Dylan Davies? I think it was. So Dylan's jumped down to the inside there to try and cover. He's trying to protect. Look at the damage on the front right. That speaks volumes. Momentary lapse in concentration. He brushed the wall. Now Smith is going to have something to say about this. He might want to add to that damage. You never know. Anything goes in NASCAR. You can see the damage on the right-hand side of Dylan Davies' car there. So a mistake from the leader. A very rare mistake. Ruben Phelps has dropped off the back there as well. So Smith will take the lead over Dylan Davies. And, well, Smith will be doing everything he can to hold on to that lead, that's for sure. Fantastic looking Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro there.
Yeah, these guys are like... They're like sharks. They can smell the blood in the water. As soon as it's there, they pounce.
Absolutely right. So a really smart move by Regan Smith. Not Regan Smith. You're going to have to get the graphics up here. I've got to stop saying Regan Smith. This isn't NASCAR. This is Weekend Warriors. It's this lovely Saturday night. It's Mark Smith. Please accept my apologies, Mark. That would have made sense. A bit more of a simple name, isn't it? So Mark Smith takes the lead over Dylan Davies after that mistake, and now Gary Wellman is challenging for second place. And the guys in the background here, the likes of Kobe, oh, was that a wee bit of contact between? How close to the wall do you want to get for Dylan Davies? So that may have been a wee bit of contact between Gary Wellman and Dylan Davies there, but it is Mark Smith that still leads the way. It's the number 7 in the Monster Energy Chevrolet Camaro SS.
And you can start to see that things are starting to heat up a little bit. We're getting into the second, you could call it the second stint of the race here. And, oh no!
Oh, it's all over. Wellman goes around, takes out a whole bunch of them. We're going to go yellow. Oh, I can't wait to see the replay for that. So look at that. The top 3 only just made it through. Jordan makes it through. Davies makes it through. Obviously, Smith makes it through. So I saw Gary Wellman go around there. The simsnap.com iRacing photography replay shows us what happened. Gary Wellman. Oh, no. Was that Ruben Phelps that came down off the wall? No. Who was in front of him? So there's Ruben Phelps. Oh, that's Christopher Tomlin. So Christopher Tomlin came down off the wall. He got loose, came down off the wall, and has hit Gary Wellman, and he's almost tipped him over and taken out a whole host of cars as well. I didn't see whether Ruben Phelps was involved with that as well, but we're going to go under. Oh, going to go under yellow once again. Oh, what a shame!
And it's
what
as
an
quick as
absolute
that.
shame.
That is
Just like that.
absolutely amazing. Yep.
So, Dylan Davies with damage after brushing the wall in that green flag stint. We lost Paul Jackson. We lost Brad Ellison. We lost Gary Wellman. This race is going in a completely opposite direction. So you can see in front there the Lego car, the 212. Chevrolet Camaro was the one that sort of, I think, lost it a wee bit. And here goes Mark Smith. He's peeling in.
He's
They're all
thrown the
peeling
dummy.
in. No, he's not. He's thrown a dummy. That's what you want to see. A big dummy. And a couple of guys have jumped in the pit lane there. And Ruben Phelps has gone. He's probably kicking himself. I can't see any damage there, so there's genuinely no reason for him to pit. But you could see that Kobe, Jordan, and Dylan Davies were sort of thinking, oh, hold on a second. He's sitting.
Oh, look at this!
One's gone around in pit lane. What is going on here? Jeez, this is high-stakes potato farming at Auto Club Speedway.
Now, does Phelps take tyres here?
I don't think that he has. I can't see the car tipping up on either side there. I think that could be a very bold strategic fuel play, or he might have had a wee bit of damage, but I think that it may have been the former in fuel.
Yeah, no tyres there, so no real advantage apart from taking more fuel, which means his last stop he'll be stationary for significantly less time.
That's right, and that's the things you need to think about when you're when you are racing and trying to figure out a strategy. And you've got to be able to make these calls on the spot as well, bearing in mind their JP. So, oh my goodness, this race went from 0 to hero in less than about 5 minutes. So we've lost Gary Wellman, we've lost Paul Jackson. Well, Paul Jackson is there, but he's well off the pace. Who else have we lost? We've lost Brad Ellison as well. So, well, Brad Ellison's down in 15th, so I wouldn't be surprised if he can get his way back through. But, certainly a big shame there. And just like that, it's all over for a few of these guys.
Yeah, and just interrupting you there, from our third guest commentator, we've got Ruben has damage to the rear of his car. So thanks very much. Shout out to Hamish Gallagher for that. Thanks, mate.
Here we go. Thanks to Hamish Gallagher for the update there. So he did have damage to the rear of the car there. So didn't actually see anything on the broadcast, but sometimes that can differ ever so slightly. So a good call for him to get in and get it fixed. I mean, depending on how long the repairs took, you could have got tyres with the amount of laps there is to go, but at the same time, it may not be worth it because you just don't know what's going to happen in these last sort of 60-odd laps. So We're getting set for restart number 2 here at Auto Club Speedway.
Have a quick look at
And,
this. Sorry, Billy. Christopher Tomlin up 17 places.
Wowee. I'll tell you what, his first race was my last race, Dover. The 212. Christopher Tomlin, of course, involved in that that little wreck with Gary Wellman there. 17 places. How insane is that? So he's right up there with Kobe Jordan. So these two sit in Discord together, and they'll be helping each other along. So I'm very excited to see what these two can do. The safety car, the pace car peels off, and we're in the hands of Mark Smith, waiting for the green, but it's on the leader. And it's go, go, go. The Red Rose 400 underway for the second time. Restart number 2, and what a start from Mark Smith. Away he goes. The field fans out. Everyone's chopping and changing. Dylan Davies slots into second. Kobe Jordan into third. Lap 59 as we head through turns 1 and 2. The top three have peeled away ever so slightly. And I can see a couple of cars in the background there trying to see what they can do. I think Barry Neal has come into the mix. There's Nathan Legg as well. And I think Stephen Williams is back in the mix as well. But look at Kobe Jordan alongside Dylan Davies. Oh, there's contact there as well. So a wee bit of contact. I think Dylan Davies just sort of come down a wee bit too much on Kobe Jordan. Still just a touch bit of damage maybe for both parties there. But they managed to make it through without too much damage. And cue the Jaws music, because here comes Darren McKenzie. He's back in the mix as well. He's alongside Dylan Davies, and Barry Neal's in behind there. So Darren McKenzie's back on it, and he's coming up behind a former teammate in Kobe.
What did I
Kobe
say?
Jordan. So these
blood in the water, mate.
Sorry?
Blood in the water.
Blood in the water, that's right, like a shark. Blood in the water, that's exactly right, JP. So, Kobe Jordan, former teammates at, I think it was Hyperdrive with here we go. Darren McKenzie's putting the show on for the fans here at Auto Club. Thanks for coming. He's off to Grandma's place. Darren McKenzie takes the lead from Mark Smith. He gets 2 in 1 corner. It's Kobe Jordan and it's Mark Smith. Stop the party. Here is Darren McKenzie from hero to zero and back to hero here at Auto Club. And we're going down the back straight now. Kobe Jordan wants a piece of Mark Smith. Dylan Davies is in the background with Stephen Williams and Barry Neal there as well. But look at that Cobra Mustang. Is absolutely gorgeous and back right where it started.
Yeah, the one thing I've quickly learnt over the last few weeks of watching these racing and broadcasting these races is to never count Darren McKenzie out.
Don't ever count him out. You know what I did? I counted him out, didn't I? So look at this now. Look at the gap that he's got.
He's off.
Absolutely insane.
To coin a phrase of another commentator, he's off like a greased whippet.
I don't know that I've ever heard that before. Never heard that before. Off like a greased whippet. You think I'd know that, wouldn't you? It's like Damon Hill and Murray Walker's race to Pizza Hut, isn't it? It's Hill! Rest in peace, Murray Walker. What a great commentator. Anyway, Darren McKenzie, look at the gap. Oh my goodness gracious me. You could fit a couple of Neapolitan Mastiffs in that one. That is one heck of a gap that he's managed to pull on the field. Let's hope he can hold on to those tyres for the laps to come. Kobe Jordan settling into third place there. Dylan Davies back in fourth. Barry Neal fifth. And it looks like Ruben Phelps. Yeah, you can see the damage to the back of his car there. So he's got that fixed by the looks of it. Reese May slotting in behind Stephen Williams there. And I think that is... there's Dylan Davies there with Barry Neal. So Davies trying to get a look on Kobe Jordan. We saw this a couple of laps ago, but the roles were reversed. So it's... Dylan Davies on the inside of Jordan. He's going to slot him behind. He says, nah, not worth it. 2 seconds between Darren McKenzie and Mark Smith at the line there, or 2.1. The gap is opening up ever so slightly. I think he's making his ground. Well, not making his ground. He's extending the gap in the corners, and that's going to be difficult because, look at it now. The difficulty with that is that you're going to you're going to burn up your tyres, son, and that's not going to be a good look. Let's see how he fares later on. I want to keep an eye on that gap. You can see down the bottom there, Peter Gretton is in pit lane there on the ticker. So, Kobe Jordan, third place, with battling with Dylan Davies still. Been battling for quite some time now, and Barry Neal, Stephen Williams just ready and waiting. Ready to pounce, seeing what is going to happen between Jordan and Davies here. Davies is right on the gearbox of Kobe Jordan now, and Mark Smith isn't too far up the road either. But I think that Barry Neal wants to have a look at Dylan Davies now as they head down the back straight. I think we're going to see an orange Toyota Camry pop up out of nowhere and say, hey, thanks for coming. And that he does.
Oh, look at that.
There's a touch. That was always going to happen. So Dylan Davies comes down again and does it with a different car this time from the same manufacturer's party. Oh, I thought that was going to be contact again. So Dylan Davies drops a spot again. But look at Stephen Williams on the inside. I wouldn't discount him. Reese Mays in the middle as well. And Dylan Davies, man, that was a wee bit too close for my liking there, but they managed to make it work only just. Now, I think it's Dylan Davies' teammates just coming to the party there as well, and they've all sort of bunched up a wee bit now. There's a lot of this dicing, chopping and changing happening down the back straight, and that's what spelt trouble for Gary Wellman and for Paul Jackson and Brad Ellison. So be interesting to see what happens there. It's Adam Ariel that's come up in there. There was a wee bit more contact between Phelps and... Oh, yep, there's one in the wall. So I think that was... I'm not sure who that was, actually, that was in the wall, but I think it might have been Ruben Phelps or the car behind. It might have been Dave Trevethan even. So one in the wall there. And it's all go in this middle pack. This is what you want to be watching. Where's Darren McKenzie?
He's checked out.
Yeah,
he's gone to KFC.
He's gone to KFC. He's gone to the hot dog stand. He's just like, you know what? Car's on autopilot. See you later, fellas.
Now,
so Ruben Phelps fighting his way back through the field. Sorry, JP.
Now, the one thing though, the one Achilles heel with McKenzie is he tends to get that pace, and then his tyres go off early in the stint, and the rest of the pack are able to reel him in. Maybe he's decided to bolt early this time, see if he can get enough of a gap, and then get in for the next, either if he can has to pit under green, give himself a nice little gap there.
Alrighty, so sorry about that, JP. So Kobe Jordan now we're looking at here behind Barry Neal, and Adam Ariel was coming to the mix now as well. Oh, Kobe's in the middle there. That makes things a little bit awkward. He's got Reese May on the inside of him there, and excuse me, and there's another car on the outside there. I think that's King in the 28 there. So there's a lot of faces and names that have come out of nowhere here. I think Kobe Jordan's tyres have dropped off just a wee bit. Reese May's getting the upper hand over Kobe now. So Brad Ellison, oh, there he is, Brad Ellison. He's back in the mix now. He's just on the fringe of the top 10.
You know, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, geez, this is going to end in tears, but these guys are doing a phenomenal job racing door to door with each other.
They are doing an amazing job, and you can sort of tell that lap after lap after lap after lap, the attitude of these cars is changing like you wouldn't believe. They're getting harder to drive. With the draft, they're getting harder to drive. The tyres are going away. The car's becoming lighter. You have to change the way that you handle the car, the way that you turn it into the corner. You have to change your line. You've got to keep off the marbles. There's so many things that you've got to do to keep this car pointing in the right direction. And keep up with the battle. So there's Adam Ariel on the inside of the 129 there of Paul Drady. So Paul Drady and Adam Ariel going at it. Two Toyota Camrys there battling away, and Ariel's teammate Dylan Davies just ahead there. And he's in the wall again. There it is. That's what we were waiting for. So we'll go yellow once again, I would think. And that one's on unfortunately, I think that's on Dylan Davies, that one, because he hit the wall, come down and got the 129 of Paul Drady there. So as they came out of turn 4, Ariel Davies maybe just pushing a little bit too hard. up into the wall and came down and got Drady, and they both took a trip to the grass. Davies keeping it in a straight line, but unfortunately for Paul Drady, nowhere to go, and we stay green.
Now this has worked. This has really played into the hands of Mackenzie.
Look at him. What's that? 10 seconds? No, it's not 10 seconds. It's got to be a little bit less than
Closer
that.
to 7. He's 6.8 seconds ahead. He's now starting his lap times are now starting to taper off, although he's still in the low 42s. So 42.49 was the last lap for Darren Mackenzie.
Okay, so this just got a whole lot more interesting. Lap times are starting to flatten off a wee bit here. So you remember COVID-19, flatten the curve? Well, I think we're starting to see the curve rise again. I was going to say flatten off, but that wouldn't make any sense at all. So, Darren Mackenzie, let's just keep an eye on this one. See if we can jump on board with him in the cockpit and just see how hard he's working the car and how hard he's working the tyres on board that Ford Mustang. Oh, look at the attitude on that steering wheel. So he's got about maybe 10 degrees worth of offset there, perhaps I would say. So the steering wheel's on that funny angle. Let's see how much he's putting in when he goes into the corner. Oh, that's 45 degrees. No, it's not 45 degrees. That's got to be 30 odd degrees. So he's putting in quite a bit of angle to get that car steered. And the unfortunate part about that one is, JP, is when you have to steer more, that's when you're losing time. You've got to lift off the gas because you can't give it a whole heap of steering and be flat at the same time. So he'll be lifting off the gas here and putting quite a bit of attitude in. And I think that gap is going to close down, but he's sitting in the 42.5s at the moment in terms of lap time, so it'll be just interesting to keep an eye on him, see what happens. I mean, like you say, he's got a very healthy gap over the car behind. We're 75 laps in with 50 to go now, so yeah, interesting to see what's going to happen here as we go back to Barry Neal and Adam Ariel there. We've got the 28 there as well, and we've got Mark Smith. So that's Sean King in the 28. That's a striking car. I quite like that livery actually. Yellow looks good on a Ford Mustang as we head back to Brad Allison here, who's making his way back through the field and passing our former leader in Ruben Phelps. So Ruben obviously hampered with a wee bit of damage there, see what he can do as the laps tick by. But Brad Allison, the 0-3, despite that earlier incident and falling back, he is on a march, and he's saying, boys, I'm a-coming, clear it. If he was if he was a man you wouldn't want to get in the way of, it's Brad Allison. He's like a prop in a rugby team, mate. You wouldn't want to be tackled by him. He's one. I mean, he's the nicest guy you'll ever talk to, but when it comes to racing, it's a whole lot of move expletive, get out the way. So he's got Reese May to clear, and then he'll have a bit of clear air in front of him. So from the rather successful Activity Hub Bali team is Brad Allison making his way through. Great to see him back racing as per the usual. Back to the front, Mark Smith, and we can see Barry Neal there fighting with Sean King, and I think that is Adam Ariel just in front of them fighting along with Mark Smith there. So we did see it end in tears earlier for Dylan Davies and Paul Drady as well, so bit of a shame for them, but Sean King just on the inside of Barry Neal here. I doubt that there's going to be too much happening there for him to worry too much. Yes, so there you go. So Sean King's just pulled back a wee bit. Thought, you know what, this might not be worth it at all as we head back to the other pack there. Stephen Williams, forgot to mention him earlier, so he is back in the mix as well. So it'll be him and Allison that push to the front. I think those two are pretty well known to each other, so I think that they'll be pushing through pretty bloody good. Incidentally, Stephen Williams, as far as I'm aware, this is not the Stephen Williams that was once the caddy for Tiger Woods many years ago. If you're a fan of golf, if it is, I didn't know that Stephen Williams raced iRacing, and he should stick to the Super Saloon driving. But anyway, this Stephen Williams is on one heck of a charge here with Brad Allison in behind. Now, me and JP, we did say at the start that these two would be ones to watch. And I think what we should do here, just quickly, is jump on board with Brad Allison as he jumps in behind Stephen Williams, crank up the volume for a couple of laps, and enjoy some laps of Auto Club Speedway with... Oh, hold on a second. We won't crank up the volume. What's happened to Stephen Williams? So he's gone right to the inside, and pace has dropped off big time. He's lost a couple of spaces there, so lost a couple of places. So Ruben Phelps has gone ahead, and perhaps he just wanted to get out of that. Sort of get out of the way and perhaps maybe just sort of distance himself, which is totally fair.
That was interesting because I was going to say the only person that was currently on track that was matching or faster than Darren McKenzie was Stephen Williams, and he sort of dropped right off now.
Well, he's dropped about 3 or 4 places there. I don't know what's happening. He's about to be passed by one of the Iridium cars. I think that's Kobe Jordan, maybe just about to pass. It might be Will Jesberg, but yeah, I'm not sure what's happened there. That's certainly a strange one. He's going to the inside. I wonder if he's got some sort of problem. Perhaps a technical issue that we're not privy to. It doesn't look like he's about to pull on the pit lane, so that's an interesting one there. I wonder if our roving reporter, one Hamish Gallagher, might have an answer, perhaps as we the laps tick by. Oh, that's
43.95 was his last lap, Billy. So definitely something not working there for him. He must have some kind of technical issue.
Must be a technical issue that we're not aware of back at home for Stephen Williams. That's a real shame. He was on a big charge, but one man that we'll head back to there, that leader right there, Darren McKenzie, 8 seconds. So he's still got a decent gap, and what we'll do now is we'll give it another go. Take 2 here, ladies and gentlemen. Crank up the volume. And turn up your TV, turn up your surround sounds, turn up your headphones. We'll jump on board for a couple of laps with the man who's leading the race, Darren McKenzie, around Auto Club Speedway. Alrighty, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here at Auto Club Speedway, the Red Rose 400. Hope you enjoyed a couple of laps there on board with our leader, Darren McKenzie. Still leading the way. Myself and JP just in the break there were discussing lap times, and yeah, interesting to see what's happened there with regards to pit stops. Scott McClintock, one of the men who's running the series here, sitting down there, and we've got Mark Smith still sitting in second, so I can see Gary Wellman's pitted there, just on the ticker down the bottom there, so he's gone into pit lane, and what I want to do now is see if we can get that timing tower up and just run through your order, because a lot has changed. We'll look at the gaps as well. So it is McKenzie that still leads the way, and it's still 8.7 back to Mark Smith. We've got Adam Ariel, who's in 3rd place, up 13 spots, and Sean King in 4th. He's just changed with Barry Neal, but he's up 15 spots. Adam Ariel jumps up into 2nd, and here comes Mark Smith down pit lane. So first of your green flag pit stops. We've got 40 laps to go, and this is going to play into the hands. So he's coming a little bit earlier than what I thought. We did mention that critical lap could well be around lap 90, lap 95. So he's ducked in early, wants to get onto fresh tyres, but that's not going to go in his favour come round towards the back end of the race. Barry Neal fighting hard with Sean King here. I'll carry on running through the field there. So just quickly, Adam Ariel up 14 and Sean King up 17. Barry Neal up 10. Back to Allison, who's about 2 seconds behind this group, and so is Reese May, as well as Ruben Phelps. Scott McClintock's not far off them as well. We have got the number 04 in 9th place, and here we go. Here's the green flag stop, so we'll cut over there. We've got Brad Allison jumping into pit lane there, along with Reese May and Ruben Phelps, and I think Scott McClintock's just popped in there, as well as Dave Trevethan, maybe. So... They've all jumped into pit lane here. They're all following what it was that Mark Smith did. Now he's dropped a lap down all the way down to 13th, so he may be pretty fortunate if he gets on those quick tyres earlier on. Back with our leader here, Darren McKenzie. See if we can jump on board and see what the attitude of the car is for him. It looks like he is struggling. He's certainly looking a lot slower than what he was earlier, so I think that he may just be pushing quite a bit. And look at that. Quite a bit of angle there. He's having to do quite a lot to get the car turned. There's always a sweet spot that you hit with these cars.
So,
sort
Billy,
of around maybe the middle of the stint there. Sorry, JP.
here's a question for you. So we've seen the fast guys come in for their pits now. Darren McKenzie has got a nice handy lead, but you know with fresh tyres that they're really going to start to reel him in. Do you cover them off now, or do you wait, take a later pit stop and get out with fresher rubber?
His lap times have dropped off half a second as to what they were, maybe about 10 or 15 laps ago. They've dropped off about half a second. So if I was in his position, I'd be looking at the reference to the cars behind, looking at the gaps, seeing what the difference is, and then just sort of thinking, well, how long are these tyres going to last? Not a heck of a lot longer. You can either, because you can't exactly push a heck of a lot harder on these ovals on bad tyres, because you will lose it. Something bad will happen. When it comes to road racing, there's sort of a few things that you can get away with, late braking and things like that, but I think we're about to see Darren McKenzie pop into pit lane here, and that we are right on cue. So into pit lane. This is the critical stop, and a wee bit of a brake lock there, but he gets the thing slowed down. And there is, we'll see if we can find our a next man in queue here, and just see if we can have a look perhaps at the timing tower and just see what's going on here. So there it is. So King and Ariel jump up into the lead, remembering that McKenzie is in pit lane, and I just want to see where Smith comes out in relation to McKenzie. So Smith is in 6th place, and he's quite a wee way behind these guys. But
Darren's in his box.
Darren's still in his pit box there. So we'll see this update as they come around. So there's Mark Smith there.
Darren's on the move now.
Darren's on the move. We could well have a change for the effective lead here. Let's see what happens. Darren's still on the move. Hopefully he doesn't overcook it as he heads through turns 1 and 2 in the safe part of the track. There goes Paul Drady there, but Darren McKenzie keeps the lead. Only just. This is going to come down to the wire, ladies and gentlemen, with 35 laps to go here at Auto Club. If a safety car comes in, throw it all out the window. Put it away. That's what Neil Crompton would say. Just throw it all out the window if a safety car comes in. Don't worry about it. But the race is on.
100%. Now, we've had a little bit of a technical difficulty here. Hamish has just told me that there's no engine sound. How are we now, Hamish? Can you hear the engine?
We'll wait for that comment to come through.
This is one of the great things about having our audience, is they can tell us when things aren't going according to plan and let us know if things are working.
Love it, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Love our roving reporter Hamish Gallagher. We certainly appreciate that, mate. It's a bit of a shame not to see you racing out there tonight, but I'm sure that you'll be back at some stage.
Absolutely, wielding that number 13 around the track. So at the moment, Derek Jacob has got track position. He's in first, although he's yet to pit. He had his pit stop on lap 56. So I think he's just playing the long game. He's got nothing to lose. He's going to stay out there as long as he can.
Absolutely right, and that's what you can do. I mean, if I was in his position, I'd probably do the same thing. If you're out there, you've got nothing to lose. Look, if the car feels good, go for it. Absolutely. You know, if it feels good, if it feels strong, um, guys around you start to pit, then maybe you've got something to think about. But also keep an eye on those gaps as well. If the gaps keep closing, sometimes you just need to bite the bullet and jump in there. So he's got. I think that's one of the Iridium Sim Sports cars in behind him there, and another one of the I'm not sure who that is next to him. So they are side by side here, and Jacobs is probably going to lose the lead there. So that's yes, Berg. That's down on the inside there. The black, green, and white car parked down the inside there, and so Jacobs has lost the lead. And it's actually, I should know this, it's Mr. Mark Johansson that's in the 00 car there. So is this lap traffic? Sorry.
No, yeah, it's lap traffic. Now, just to illustrate the difference in lap times here. So Derek Jacobs' last lap time was a 43.74. Darren McKenzie a 41.53. So he's reeling him in. He's 18 seconds behind Derek Jacobs at this stage. I mean, if I was Derek, knowing what I know, I'd be praying for a caution period.
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah, a caution. Yeah, definitely praying for a caution, or perhaps, biting the bullet and pitting, and then perhaps relying on a caution after that, because you never know what's going to happen. Now we're back with a couple of featured faces here. So we've got Paul Drady there, as well as Ruben Phelps, and I think that's Paul Jackson that's just pitted as well. So we've got Brad Allison there too. Yeah, there's Ruben Phelps, and that's Davies in behind him. So we're back sort of just a sense of normality, you'd probably call it now, JP. A bit of normality is sort of settled in. We're going to, obviously, it's going to be this big race to the end between Darren McKenzie and Mark Smith. But yes, a sense of normality back here at Auto Club.
Yeah, absolutely. But here we have, I call this guy the silent assassin. Barry Neal goes about his racing. He's kind of unassuming in the way that he goes about his racing, but all of a sudden he'll
just
pop up.
Jacobs pitting there, mate. So Derek Jacobs in pit lane.
There you go. So that's going to hand the lead back to Darren McKenzie. But yeah, like I was saying, Barry Neal will just go about his racing towards the end, the tail end of the lap. You'll see him there or thereabouts and challenging for a podium.
Absolutely right. So let's see what he can do. Barry Neal, yep, certainly the silent assassin. If he doesn't qualify up the front, he'll be there at the end of the race, because he is very, very good when it comes to race time. Amazing race pace. We have got 30 laps to go here at Auto Club. Anything could happen inside that 30 laps. Mark Smith just trying to defend from Barry Neal. If I was Mark and I saw Barry in my mirrors, I'd be thinking, just go, mate, just go. Make it easy for me. He's got his teammate up in front of them too. So there's Paul Jackson, remembering that Paul Jackson is a couple of laps behind, so he'll just let these guys sail by. But he's not going to make life easy for Mark Smith, I reckon, JP.
100%. There aren't a lot of people that I would not like to see in my rearview mirror. Barry Neal is one of them, and not because of any other reason that he is a hard racer. He will not give up. He'll be all over the back of Mark Smith's car, and yeah, he will have a red-hot go.
Oh, absolutely right. He'll be having a very red-hot go. So there you go. They've actually cleared Paul Jackson there, so Jackson's just let them through. And I think that we've had another couple of cars into the pit lane there, so Tomlinson's gone in as well. So just looking at Ruben Phelps and Brad Allison here as they head through Drady's in pit lane too. So as they head through turns 1 and 2, we've got Brad Allison and Ruben Phelps. Now they're fighting for positions 4 and 5. So Brad Allison back up in the mix after that early coming together with Paul Jackson. So Darren McKenzie still leads the way, and the gap there is 7.9. So it's probably about half a second down on what it was last time, but it's opening up a wee bit. So Darren McKenzie, the championship leader, is in the hot seat with just over 25 laps to go. I'm not entirely sure whether they're going to come within, whether they're going to get very close to each other. But it's going to be very exciting to see, indeed, and seeing whether Brad Allison can charge through as well as, and if I was Ruben Phelps, I'd be pretty happy sitting right behind Brad Ellison. And just speaking of Ruben Phelps, the beauty of racing for Cranky Sports is you get to race with the likes of Michael Skurlock and Aidan Schultz and Chris Purnell, who is, of course, the man behind Virtual Motorsport Mentor. And he is certainly the chap that you want to be with. Free advice. How good would that be, JP, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Racing with that caliber of driver or those calibers of drivers would just make you better and better.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
I'm thinking big things to come from Ruben.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So the young man sitting at his simulator in Otago, and yep, he's looking really good. So on Ruben for a very strong showing tonight as we look at Barry Neal now still on the back of Mark Smith, and the gap is closing there. So we've just ticked over lap 100. We've got 25 to go here at Auto Club Speedway. We're approaching 9 o'clock Australian Eastern Time. We're going to go to a simsnap.com iRacing photography replay.
Just a pass here.
And a pass. So we've got Scott McClintock looking like he's going to head up the inside. I think that is Dylan Davies. Is it? Yes, it is. And look at that. Oh, I thought that was old rubber versus new rubber, but man, that was close. Was that a pass, or was that a pass that lasted a lap? That was. Well, there you go. So there's Dylan Davies comes down to defend, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do through turns 1 and 2. So, yeah,
just
that was a cool bit of racing.
Yeah. Just that tit for tat. And while that's been going on, Barry Neal's made a move on Mark Smith, so we'll go and have a look at that as well.
With that move that Barry Neal put on Mark Smith, I'd say that probably would have happened around, if it wasn't on the back straight, it was on the entry 2. And we've got the simsnap.com iRacing photography replay here. Barry Neal at just sitting behind Mark Smith there, so that's when he moves down, and he's got the draft off of the back of turn 4. He's side by side, and he's got the job done down into turns 1 and 2. I think Mark Smith's made it pretty easy for him. I think he knows the kind of guy that Barry is, and he's just thought, yeah, off you go, mate. I'm not going to bother with this. I've had a good night. We'll settle for third. So very noble of Mark Smith to do that. And the gap's not too bad. He's Mark Smith's managed to stay with him a wee bit. Just looking at Darren McKenzie's gap now back to Barry Neal, so it's almost 10 seconds, so 9.7 seconds while Barry Neal was squabbling with Mark Smith. So there's your gaps on the timing tower there. We've got 24 to go now, and it's round 18 of the championship, bearing that in mind. And the man who's in front, Darren McKenzie, he is your championship leader. So there he is there. It's Darren McKenzie, followed by Barry Neal, Mark Smith, Brad Ellison. We've got Ruben Phelps, Scott McClintock, Sean King. We've got, I'm not sure who that is, in 8th place. Sorry, JP. You've probably got Stephen Williams, of course. How could I forget? Stephen Williams, Dylan Davies, Reese May, Adam Ariel, Mark Johansson, Dave Trevethan. We've got Will Jesberg and Nathan Legg, who's actually gone 2 laps down. He was in the top 5 for a wee bit there. Derek Jacobs, Kobe Jordan, he's a couple laps down. Chris Tomlinson, who's a couple laps down as well. He's 7 laps down. He's just in the foreground there in the 2-1-2. Gary Wellman has retired from the race, as has Peter Gretton and Tristan Koch. I think Christian Koch probably didn't even start the race, I don't think. But Peter Gretton is out, as I said, and Paul Jackson's 11 laps down, so he'll move up into 20th. Very soon. So 22 to go here at Auto Club, and 9.9 is the gap, and the gap's actually opening up, JP, between Darren McKenzie and Barry Neal, which is not what we expected.
Yeah, look, I think Darren's been able to really control this race since the second stint. He's really had the pace. He's had his car under control. He's done incredibly well. So I would say at this stage the race is his to lose.
Certainly, and you know what, it's an interesting kind of a thing, really. When we talk about that it's his race to lose. Commentator's curse. G'day, I'm Billy Hickey. Thanks for coming. 20 laps to go.
Well, the good thing is, I'm not a commentator. I'm the broadcaster, so I've never heard of the broadcaster's curse.
You could, yeah. So you're taking no responsibility whatsoever.
All
That's,
care but
I
no
love that.
responsibility taken.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah. So a little bit of lap traffic for Darren McKenzie to deal with here. That's Nathan Legg in the 11 car there. So a little bit of lap traffic to go there. We've got 19 laps to go here at Auto Club, and well,
Oh,
it's calmed down a wee bit now.
this is not where I would want to be if I was Darren McKenzie.
If I was Darren McKenzie, I'd be swearing at Nathan Legg right now, big time. I'd probably be talking. I was probably sitting in Discord talking to Kobe and Will and Devon and all the guys, going, "What is this guy doing?" And they'd just be telling me to calm down. I'm such a hothead. But you can see Darren's just pulled back a wee bit there. Just thought, no, I'll go about this a different way. Sometimes these passes they take about a lap to get done. And you've got to set them up maybe about a lap or two beforehand. So Darren's going to stick right in behind this fantastic shot off the back of Nathan Legg. How good is that? He's going to sit in behind there and just watch what Nathan does. Just think, well, where's his strengths, where's his weaknesses? He shouldn't have to think about it. I mean, he's lap traffic, but I mean, Nathan can do what he wants, really. He can make it as hard for Darren as he wants, but Darren's probably jocked about maybe half a second back there just to sort of evaluate what's happening and try and figure out where he can pounce on Nathan and try and find a spot there. So we're down to the nitty-gritty part of the race here, and Darren McKenzie a very healthy lead over the rest of the pack. It's 9.9 seconds. Well, there you go. Clicked over 10 seconds there. We're looking at Scott McClintock in 8th place. Stephen Williams just in front of him, and Chris Tomlinson in front of them. He's a couple of laps down. And Sean King in the mix there in 6th place. Sixth place. Get it right, Billy. Jeez. Really nice livery on that Mustang. Quite a fan of it. Quite reminds me of Michael McDowell's real life livery, actually. JP, that Daytona 500 winning car. A controversial Daytona 500 that it was this year, of course, on real terms.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, getting back to Darren McKenzie, if I was Darren at this stage with a 10-second lead, I wouldn't be taking any risks. I'd be sitting back there, and even if I'm losing 2 or 3 tenths a lap, I'd be happy to do that.
Yep, no, I completely agree with you on that one there. On that one, JP, it's a very, very mature decision to make. So Scott McClintock there in 8th. He's got Dylan Davies a couple of cars behind there. So interesting to see if Dylan will have anything that he can do to try and gain some position. Remembering that Dylan Davies did lead for some laps. Stephen Williams has managed to make his way by Sean King now. So Sean just sitting in behind the season campaigner, that is Stephen Williams, as they head down the back straight now. And we're on board looking out the back of Stephen Williams at Sean King. And looks like Sean's making up a bit of ground on the entry, but he's going to lose a lot on the exit if he does that. Surprised if he manages to stay with Stephen here, and he does, only just. He lost a tiny bit of ground, but not a huge amount. So interesting to think that within that last lap, Barry Neal's made up half a second on our leader Darren McKenzie. I just saw on the ticker down the bottom there. There's Stephen Williams in the 98 Simrigs. That's a gorgeous looking car. You can see it coming from a mile away. You see that in your mirror and you think, oh no, okay, I'm out. Just go, take it.
Look, a simple livery, but incredibly effective.
Oh, absolutely right. They're coming up on lap traffic here in Paul Jackson. Paul will be doing his best to get out there and support his teammate in Barry Neal. Of course, Barry's sitting in second at the moment, but we're looking at Stephen Williams here and Sean King as well. So Sean King of the 28 Ford Mustang there. Haven't heard too much about Sean King. Haven't seen him around a bit, but it's great to see him having a good run and sitting in behind one of the greats of oval iRacing in Australia and New Zealand. Certainly a prominent name in ANSCAR and Weekend Warriors, of course, and all the likes of the rest of them. So Sean King, very respectable night. I think he's done a fantastic job. So look at the gap. It's come down another 3 tenths with 14 laps to go. I know I'm probably reading too much into it there, JP, but it's come down another tenth in the last lap. It's dropping dramatically, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go back to Darren. I wonder whether he's still being held up.
I don't think he
Not
is.
at all.
I think he's managed to get by Nathan League. So just see if we can jump on board with him there, JP, and just see if see what the attitudes of the car's doing. It looks like he is struggling a bit, and that says it all. Just look at the steering input as he heads down, or heads through the tri-oval. We'll see what he does when he gets to turn 1 and 2, and whether whether he's having to put a lot of steering input in, because he's losing time like you would not believe. Another
Looks
2
like-
tenths.
Sorry, looks like we might have an incident with Paul Jackson here. I'm just going to go to that real quickly.
Go and have a look at this replay of Paul Jackson, and oh, there's a bit of smoke.
Yeah, there's something going on. Let's go to the replay.
We'll have a look at the replay here. So the sim snap. Wow, everyone's going slow there. I wonder if we're going to go. Simsnap.com iRacing photography replay shows us what? Whoa! Chris Tomlinson comes together with Paul Jackson. That's another incident down the back straight for Paul Jackson, and he'll be ruining that. And that's another incident down the back straight for Chris Tomlinson as well. So he'll have a few questions to answer at the end of this. Very unfortunate for Paul Jackson. Wouldn't have hurt too much being all those laps down, but regardless.
Now I think
Are we under
that's,
yellow?
I think that's that's brought out the pace car. Sure has.
Oh, it has. There we go. Well,
So we have a race on our hands now.
we have a race in our hands. These last 12 laps just got incredibly exciting.
So this is going to be really interesting now. Has Darren what's he got left in the tank? What's he got left with his tyres? Yeah, how's Barry going? I was going to want to go back and have a look at an in cockpit view of Barry's car to make a comparison, but we won't have to now. They're going to be right up against each other.
Don't you pit? Don't you pit? If you pit, what do you do? Do you put on tyres? Do you put right sides on only? Do you put? Obviously, you're going to put minimal fuel. Who's going to throw the dummy? Is Darren going to throw a dummy? Everyone else is just like, you know what?
Look at this.
Fuel, tyres, we want it. There goes Barry Neal, there goes Mark Smith, Brad Allison, and Ruben Phelps. Darren McKenzie stays out, Stephen William goes in, as does Scott McClintock. He goes in too. So this has changed like you would not believe. Get on the edge of your seats, grab yourself a beer, grab something, because these last 10 laps, well, once we go green, mate, we on.
Darren's going to have to go in to cover these guys off. Unfortunately, he's great, but is he going to have anything for them when the race goes back to green?
50-50, I think. Going to be very close, but still got a chance to pit, so you never know. Could be changing it up here.
Very interesting.
I think a lot of these guys are. I think a lot of these guys are sort of just ghosting him a wee bit, waiting to see what he's going to do, like the likes of Sean King, and I think that's Dylan Davies, or Adam Ariel, sorry, in third place, is just waiting to watch to see what he's going to do. Fourth place there, can't quite see who that is down there. I think that's Paul Drady. So interesting to see whether these guys react to what Darren McKenzie does. Does he pit? Doesn't he pit? Lights are still on, so we're going to get at least another lap here while the rest of the guys catch up.
And you can see they've caught right up.
They have. So they're back in the mix. Looking back at the leader, is he going to throw a dummy? No. Nope, he stays out. Big call.
He's feeling confident.
That's Paul Jackson heading into pit lane there, so he's confident. This is, yep. I can't really put this into words. Lights are out on the pace car. And we're going to be jumping into formation here at Auto Club, and this is restart number 3, I think. Well, this just got very interesting.
Let's watch Brad Allison and Barry Neal on the restart. First of the cars to have pitted.
They'll be going, go, go, push, push, let's move, move, and they'll be making the life incredibly hard for everyone involved. Look at that. Not as many cars as there was at the start, that's for sure, but that's by the by at this point in time. This is going to be incredibly exciting.
So a little bit of information there from Hamish. Thanks very much, Hamish, for keeping us updated, mate. He believes that I think it was Darren McKenzie would have taken tyres on the last caution. That's why he pulled out such a gap on the rest of the field.
Yes, yeah. Can I come to think of it? Yeah, that makes a lot of sense now. Right. Restart time here at Auto Club for the Red Rose 400. It all comes down to this. Pace car pulls off. We're waiting to see what Darren McKenzie does. He's away, and we're racing. We've got 9 to go. This is going to be a rip snorter. Green flag's out. Thanks, Barney. 9 to go. We're away. Sean King slots. Oh, no. Big trouble.
Oh,
Brad Ellison's
no.
gone. Mark Smith's gone. What happened there? Barry Neal is, he's come through that okay. So's Ruben Phelps. Oh, no. That was huge.
You know what they
yellow
say?
Again.
Cautions breed cautions. Let's have a look at this.
So we'll go to the simsnap.com iRacing photography replay here and see what happened. Did we check up? We checked up all right. Oh, no. Oh, so Mark Smith, after having a ripper of a night, is out of the race. Brad Ellison's out of it. Oh.
I'm going to go back to this because I think it may have been Brad Allison that could have been the instigator of this one.
Hard one. Back to the simsnap.com iRacing photography replay. Was it a bit of wheel spin from Brad, maybe?
We'll just go to quarter.
Oh,
I think he's come down and we're just going to let's use a bit of technology here and let's go back.
Oh, that's so many cars. Scott McClintock involved in that. Reese May got involved. Derek Jacobs, I think, was involved in that as well. Oh, that's unfortunate. So a bit of a rewind here, thanks to JP. So, in behind Sean King. And see what angles JP can whip up for us here. We've got a drone shot here by the looks of it.
So I think we see Brad Allison on the restart here. He gets a great start, moves to the lower line, but he just cuts in front of the 55 there of who's that one? I can't remember. Of Adam Ariel.
Adam Ariel, yeah. So I don't know whether it's a hard one. You know, I don't know whether there was contact or not. Was there contact? Was it wheel spin? Did he get spooked? He had an amazing run. He comes up behind Sean King. Darren McKenzie's gone. Forget about it. He's out of here.
So he comes down and watch this. Netcode.
Netcode. Big time.
Unfortunately, though, netcode is as good as contact. Yeah, terrible luck.
Yeah, would have been on there. Oh, yeah. Oh, look at that. Oh, both the Snafu Racing cars involved. Dave Trevethan was in there as well. So was Christopher Tomlin. Oh.
And what was a reasonably pristine car is now just a crushed Coke can.
That's right. Yeah. If Activity Hub Barley Racing was a Coke can, it would be in pretty bad shape. Good thing the caution laps count.
Absolutely.
While we were away there, by the way.
It doesn't look like anyone has, but or have they? Hang on a second.
If JP
no.
turn around and say, no, they haven't. No one has pitted.
So at this stage, the driver. It looks like Barry Neal will be the first driver on fresh tyres for the restart.
Here we go. Okay, so Barry Neal, first one on fresh tyres. And lights out on the pace car. So Barry Neal, where's he? He's fourth. We've got Adam Ariel in third. Yeah, Barry Neal's fourth. Sean King up 18 spots. Right, so Darren McKenzie hasn't pitted, has led pretty much the entire race. Done a good job. Sean King came out of nowhere, up 18 spots. Adam Ariel, once again, sort of came out of nowhere. He was there or thereabouts. Excuse me. And then we'll look at Barry Neal as well. He's on the fresher tyres. Ruben Phelps is back in the mix. Dave Trevethan's there as well. Mark Smith is in 7th, but he's pretty beat up. Will Jesberg's there as well, and Steve Williams rounds out the top 10. Mark Johansson in 9th. This is going to be a close one. So, the Red Rose 400. Well, who's the Red Rose going to go to tonight? There's going to be some broken hearts, and there's going to be smiles aplenty. Whose camp is it going to be? And it's set the pace. Darren McKenzie, green flag's out. He's away. Thanks, Barney. Appreciate that one. We're away here at Auto Club. Darren McKenzie gets a good run. Sean King holds on to 2nd. Ruben Phelps jumps up into 3rd. Adam Ariel is in. Look at that. Almost 3 wide there through turns 1 and 2. We've got Barry Neal on the outside of Adam Ariel there, so he makes his way into 4th. Ruben Phelps is sitting in 3rd. We've got 5 to go. Sean King holding down 2nd over Ruben Phelps. Adam Ariel's dropped back off the back of Barry Neal a wee bit, remembering that Barry Neal has got the fresher tyres out of anyone on track, and especially out of anyone in that top 5, and he's just over half a second behind our leader. Ruben Phelps is gone. He's out of the mix. That's unfortunate. So discount Ruben Phelps. He's out of it. Let's jump back to the front. Barry Neal up the inside of Sean King. Alrighty, here we go. So Barry Neal jumps into 2nd place. Is this going to be cometh the hour, cometh the man at the Red Rose? Who is the lady going to give the Red Rose to tonight here at Auto Club? It's all on here. Darren McKenzie's on the defensive. 4 to go as they head down the back straight. Sean King's waiting and ready. What's going to happen here? Barry Neal goes up the inside of Darren McKenzie. There's a change for the lead here. What's Darren McKenzie going to do? Is he going to do the switchback as they head through turn 4? Perhaps not. Barry Neal takes the lead of this race with 4 laps to go here at Auto Club. And there's the heartbreak, and there's the Red Rose. The Red Rose goes to Barry Neal with 3 to go. 13 spots on where he started. Cometh the hour, cometh the man for Barry Neal into 1st place. Darren McKenzie will drop into 2nd, and he's losing pace. Half a second back already, and he's losing about a 10th every... Well, 2/10 a lap, maybe 3/10 a lap. So can Sean King capitalise on that? He's losing ground to Sean King as well. So that was what we were waiting for. We'll head back and have a look at these guys. Will Jesberg in 7th. Nathan Legg is in 6th. Stephen Williams is sitting in 5th. And just imagine what that would have been like if Brad Allison was involved. We have got 2 laps to go. We are waiting feverishly for that white flag. The gap at the front is 1.2 seconds. Looking at Will Jesberg here fighting with Nathan Legg. Mark Johansson's in the top 10th as well. There's the man, Barry Neal, our leader. Started, well, 14th, 13 places back from where he is now. And that Toyota Camry, that Aotearoa Racing Toyota Camry, he has got that humming indeed. 1 to go. It's the white flag for Barry Neal, JP.
He definitely did the right move going in for fresh tyres. He's now a second a lap faster than Darren McKenzie. Having said that, I don't think Darren McKenzie's going to be too upset, although... I don't think Darren McKenzie's going to be too upset because he's still going to finish in 2nd place and grab a handful of points to keep his championship lead moving.
We did say earlier on in the piece that he'd need to hold on to at least the top 5 to stay in the championship lead, but we'll pick up on Barry Neal as he will come through now and cross the line to take the win here at the Red Rose 400 at Auto Club Speedway. Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Barry Neal, the 22, will take the win in a well-deserved, well-played victory on strategy there. And Darren McKenzie, as the fireworks go off, Darren McKenzie settles for 2nd. Steve Williams made his way up to 3rd there, but it's Barry Neal taking the win. What a race that was, JP. Wow. I thought that race was going slow to start with, but it just got better and better.
Absolutely. As the laps wore down, it really did, and we did say at one stage that race was Darren's to lose. The caution period came out, pace car came out, and look, some great strategy there by Barry Neal. Well deserved victory.
Oh, absolutely. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that it is donut time here for our race leader, Barry Neal. He'll be parking up to get himself a photo in the replay, but I'm sure hoping there's going to be a burnout here because that was an unreal race from Barry Neal. So it was Barry Neal who came home in first place there, followed by the man next to him, Darren McKenzie. And I'm not sure who came home third. It was Stephen Williams that came home third, actually. He has just parked up right there, and he's going to park next to our next to our second place getter, Darren McKenzie. So we will grab who's in the green room. We have got Stephen Williams. We'll grab Stephen Williams and bring him through if you wanted to do that. JP will bring Stephen Williams in and catch up with him, third place getter tonight. And there's the burnouts. There's the burnouts from Barry Neal. We'll have a catch up with our third place getter tonight, Steve Williams. Steve, an absolutely fantastic race there tonight. You were there or thereabouts, coming home third after a frantic final section there, mate. Well done.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for that. Unlucky for Darren, that caution, and would have been better being caution free. Fuel strategy was really starting to play into it.
Absolutely, it was a kind of a difficult race to call on the strategies. Obviously, you had 4 sets of tyres, and if you're good at racing these things, you can make your tyres be on form the whole way through with your fuel, and you guys have done just that. But those cautions right at the end, that sort of last section of the race, maybe that last half, perhaps made life certainly very interesting for everyone.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate. It's always better to go green flag, and just let the strategies play out instead of, just being caught out like that with no tyres at the end there. It's unlucky, Darren.
Yeah, no, that's right. Well, look, thank you very much for your time anyway there, Steve, and congratulations on third place once again. Shout out for your sponsors.
Yeah, thanks for that. Just the broadcast team for all the work that they do. Simrigs.com, Benmax Mechanical, Southwell Lifts and Hoist, BetSmart Race Solutions, and NP Designs. Thanks.
Good stuff. Alrighty, Stephen Williams, ladies and gentlemen. Third place there. We'll just go through the race results very quickly before we catch up with the rest of our drivers. So there it is. Unofficial results there. Barry Neal takes out the win over Darren McKenzie and Steve Williams. Nathan Legg is in 4th. Sean King 5th. Adam Ariel in 6th. Will Jesberg comes home 7th. And Mark Johansson in 8th. Mark Smith comes home 9th. Reese May in 10th place there. We'll flip the page. In 11th place is Ruben Phelps. We'll have a catch up with him any minute now. Dylan Davies home in 12th there. He was the first of the lap cars down. Then we've got Trevethan, Drady, Jacobs, McClintock, Tomlin, Allison, Jackson, Kobe Jordan. And over the page, I think we have got, we've got Gary Wellman, Dylan Gray, and Tristan Koch did not start the race. So, back to our podium place getters. We'll catch up with Darren McKenzie in second place there. Darren, unfortunate to be caught out by the safety car there, as Stephen was saying. But overall, keeping the championship lead, pretty successful night regardless.
Yeah, I was devastated. Thought I finally had my first win halfway through the season, but it just wasn't to be. It was a brilliant race, actually. Very strategic. I was going for the 2-stop early once I realised I could squeeze 42 laps out of the tank. And with 2 laps left of that first stint, the caution came out, so I had to change strategy again, but worked out I could still do the 1 more stop and make it to the end. With that second caution, it was just fresh tyres and hammer down. I was going for 2 shorter stints, and it was working perfectly until 11 laps to go. But yeah, well done to everyone on the podium.
Stuff, man. Look, very gracious in defeat there. Certainly appreciate that. It's not easy, mate. We were saying how, oh my gosh, you're making these tyres last. It's absolutely out of this world. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. But I mean, there's a merit to take away from it that you do manage to hold on to the championship lead, which is always a great takeaway from any good race. Obviously, your first win would have been really good, but if you could do anything different, as safety cars aside, what would it be?
Nothing. I think I had the strategy to win tonight. I had the lead, had the tyres under me. I was watching the broadcast and I noticed how you were thinking I'd done my tyres early, but that was a deliberate ploy to get 40 out of that first stint.
There you go. Yeah.
Everyone was pushing.
It,
I was.
it wasn't me. I didn't put the commentator's curse on the broadcaster.
Very interesting race, that's for sure. It's definitely made good for broadcasting anyway.
Absolutely. Well, next time that happens, we'll know that you've done it on purpose. So yeah. Look, thanks very much for your time anyway, Darren. We certainly appreciate you catching up with us. And just a quick word for your sponsors.
Team Hyperdrive, Weekend Warriors for putting the race on, and you guys for broadcasting. Thank you. And everyone that shows up every week to race.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much there, Darren. And we'll catch up with you next week. So it's Darren McKenzie, second place tonight at the Red Rose 400. Now, our race winner, Barry Neal, is not here. I think he's actually disappeared because it's 11:30 here in New Zealand. So it's getting a little bit late there. But we'll catch up with another man who's sitting here in the commentary boxes, Ruben Phelps. He was on the pace all night. Ruben, you got a copy there, mate?
I do. How's it going?
Good. Thank you, Ruben. Hey, look... bit of a shame how things transpired tonight. You were on the pace, you had it all going for you, and then it sort of all just came all undone, and then you were probably within a good shot at the end there and peeled off to the pit lane. Just tell us a wee bit about your race.
Race, obviously, qualifying temp wasn't where I ideally want, but when I start halfway in the field, I usually means I've got a good race car underneath me. So I just eased my way up to the front in the first stint there, which I did. And then, of course, obviously coming from 10th to first, it burnt my tyres up a little more. So when I got the lead there, it was hard to actually make a gap unless I could actually use the whole racetrack there. So everybody had good runs on me. But all the incidents happened right around me tonight. And as I was avoiding them, someone just sort of at the last minute bumped me on the two incidents that I did that, so it gave me two lots of incident points, which led up to the black flag I got when doing so. So
oh, no good. Yeah,
I had once I got past Barry there, I thought if that didn't happen, I think Barry and I would have definitely been battling for that win there, but unfortunately I had that black flag hindering me, so I had no other choice to come in.
That's a bit of a shame, mate. It was a real upset to see at the end there, but regardless, a pretty decent debut for you for Crank Esports tonight.
It's good to have a nice fast car underneath me. So, but you get what these things sometimes, and sometimes you only get what you're given. So it could have been a win, but you come back next week and try again.
Absolutely. Love the attitude, mate. Hey, look, quick word for your sponsors before you go.
I've got a shout out to the new team, Crank Esports. I won't go into how I got there, but I'm in there now. And I've got a thing, iRace Designs and Virtual Motorsport Mentor. And you guys for JP Shimshed broadcasting for the stream, and Mark Johansson for the Weekend Warriors.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much for your time there, Ruben. Great to chat to you. And look, best of luck next weekend. Look forward to seeing you out there. No worries at all. And just to cap off that one, we have the big cheese himself. He actually sort of came of age towards the end of the race there. It was a bit more cleaner for him, I think. But Mark Johansson, probably the exact opposite of where we expected that race to go towards the end there, mate. Good night had by all, though.
Yeah, so, mate, I was expecting to hit that outside wall a few times, but that was gone from tonight. Pretty good racing all around. Congrats to the top three, and unlucky for Ruben. He's always quick, and he's always a person to try and beat. But in saying that too, there's a lot of guys through this field that are tough to beat, and on any given night they can have a good run and get to the lead and take the win.
Absolutely, and of course we're back next week, same time, same place. Where are we racing next week there, Mark?
Next week we're at Homestead for a 400k.
Another 400k race, good stuff. All right, well, look, thanks for your time there, Mark, and congratulations on a really good night. We all certainly appreciate you running the show here, and we look forward to catching up next week.
Yeah, I'll just give a quick shout out to the rest of the admin boys. Working hard behind the scene. JP for the broadcast, and you coming on the night for doing the commentary. Thanks very much, guys. It's much appreciated.
That's no worries at all, mate, and we certainly appreciate you getting us on board. I'm sure JP does as well. Well, that's about it from here on SimShed Broadcasting, but he said it to me twice now, and I've totally ignored him, but I've picked it up now. Championship points before we finish the broadcast. Let's bring up those championship points, JP. Darren McKenzie extends the lead at the top, 554 points over Dave Durand. That's over just under 100 points in the standings there. So Dave Durand obviously didn't turn up tonight, so 459 for him. Then we go back to Paul Jackson, 442. Unfortunate race for him. He didn't really get to finish where he wanted to. A very unfortunate race for him. Dylan Davies, 427. Then we go back to Stephen Williams, Joshua Carroll Walden, who didn't turn up tonight either. Barry Neal, Adam Ariel, Ruben Phelps, Mark Johansson moves up into the top 10. We just spoke to him, of course. Scott McClintock, Tristan Koch, Greg Spencer, Nigel Payton, Jamie Nankervis, Reese May, Mark Smith, Kobe Jordan moves up a couple of places. Cade Donnelly drops a few spots. Nathan Legg into the top 20 with 213 points. Matt Payton, Hamish Gallagher, Raymond Jaeger, Michael Skurlock, Perry Anastakis, Brad Allison, Dave Douglas, Gary Wellman, Derek Jacobs, Will Jesberg, and rounding out the top 40, we've got Michael Schroeder, Daniel Aguilera Bates, Christopher Tomlin, Devon Stove, Dave Trevethan, Tony Gagliardi, Reese Belitho, Terry Marwood, Troy Davidson, and Michael Shaw, rounding out your top 40. Right, well, I believe that's it, JP.
Yeah, we're pretty much almost done. But before we do, let's go through our broadcast schedule for SimShed Broadcasting for the week. And we're pleased to announce that on Tuesday we're back to supercar racing with the Real Sim Racing Australia Super Series. These guys have been pre-qualifying all week, so we hope to have some incredibly close V8 action on Tuesday. We back that up on Wednesday night at 8:20 p.m. with the Real Sim Racing Australia Super 2 E-Series, and of course every Saturday with the Weekend Warriors. So looking forward to bringing all of those broadcasts to you.
Fantastic. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to return to commentary tonight. I must say a big thank you to Mark Johansson and JP Correa for bringing me back out of retirement. I think how long has it been? It's been about a year or so. So it's great to be back. Hopefully it wasn't too rusty, and looking forward to seeing what's in the bank account later. No, I'm just kidding. Look, thank you very much to everyone for joining us here on SimShed Broadcasting. It's been an absolute pleasure to be commentating for you guys tonight. I have been Billy Hickey, and alongside me, not really alongside me, sitting in Australia, I'm in New Zealand, it's JP Correa. Thank you very much for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next time on SimShed Broadcasting. Bye for now.